pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. All right, good morning. On behalf of Commissioner Tell, Commissioner Candelaria, myself, Commissioner Sukla, Jack Powers, our county administrator, Kim Purcell, our county clerk and recorder, and Mr. John Baxter, our legal counsel, we welcome you. First thing on the agenda is the minutes. Commissioners, have you had the opportunity to review the minutes and make a recommendation?
Yeah, I have, and there's one correction per Rob Engelhardt on page 3, and it states Weber Canyon. It's a correction on his the road department report, and it's a correction to Weber Canyon on 41. So with that correction, I would like to move that the proceedings of the Board of Montezuma County Commissioners for their August 4th meeting 2020 be approved.
Second.
Motion and a second to approve the proceedings of the Board of Commissioners for Montezuma County for the August 4th, 2020 meeting. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, that motion carries. We will go to our public hearing. If we could have Don Haley, our planning director, and Jane come up, our assistant director, and we'll have Kim Purcell read the public notice.
Commissioner Sukla.
Here.
Commissioner Attell.
Present.
Commissioner Candelaria.
Here.
Administrator Powers.
Here.
And Attorney Baxter.
Here.
Kim Purcell, Montezuma County Clerk. Notice is hereby given that the Montezuma County Board of County Commissioners will hold a public hearing for a review and determination of a special use permit application for the proposal of a solar photovoltaic PV project submitted by Empire Electric Association Agent Cortez Solar 1 on property located at 10574 Road 29, Cortez, Colorado, located north of State Highway 160, east of Road 29, situated in Section 20, Township 36 North, Range 15 West, NMPM. The hearing will be held Tuesday, August 11th, 2020 at 9 a.m. in the Commissioners' Hearing Room, Montezuma County Administrative Offices, 109 West Main, Cortez, Colorado. Interested persons may attend and give input. Information may be obtained from the Planning Office online services at https://co.montezuma-co.smartgovcommunity.com public home. You may also contact the Planning Department at 970-565-2801 with questions. Dated this 21st day of July 2020, Kim Purcell, Clerk, Board of County Commissioners, Montezuma County, Colorado. Published in the Journal on Wednesday, July 29th, 2020.
All right, thank you, Ms. Purcell. Don?
Yeah, we've got the representative from Cortez Solar. Over here, come on up. Gavin Berg.
Morning.
Good morning.
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 Is Josh coming up? Does he want to come up?
Yeah. Okay.
And we've got Josh Dellinger from Empire Electric.
Okay.
Morning.
Good morning, gentlemen.
Morning.
So this is the solar array project that Cortez Solar 1 is proposing for the property just east of Totten Lake on County Road 29. The Planning and Zoning voted unanimously to recommend it for approval. No conditions. Cortez Planning and Zoning apparently looked at Empire's project from 4 years ago and didn't review this one for what's exactly proposed to go in. So they had no comments and proposed no motion on it, so we'll assume that is.
Nothing, huh?
They said, well, we'll refer to the comments from before, which was 4 years ago on a different company, so I don't know why they didn't review it as for what it was, but anyway, we don't have anything against it from Cortez Planning and Zoning, so we're good to go there. Gavin from Cortez Solar would like to do a brief PowerPoint presentation for you.
All right, proceed.
Well, thank you for having us this morning. I just wanted to have a brief overview of the project as well as solar. A lot of times when I do these kind of things, I don't know how much everybody knows in the room, so it's just kind of a general introduction, 10 or 15 minutes. And I believe this is the first solar application for the county, so I thought it'd be helpful to just talk a little bit about that. If you can go to the next slide, please. So Cortez Solar One is the project company, but I work for a company called One Energy Renewables. We're a Seattle-based company. I'm based in Colorado, and we have developers based around the country. We've done around 25 projects in the U.S. It's now over about 125 megawatts, and we have it in Minnesota, in Wisconsin, Iowa, Maryland, Oregon, and Washington. There's about 25 employees. We've been operating since about 2009, 2010. Next slide, please. Oh, there we go. Thank you. So I just wanted to give you a little bit of an overview of the major components of a solar facility. There's there's the panels, which that's what captures the solar resource to turn it into electricity. They're covered in an anti-reflective coating. The whole idea is they turn the light into electricity, so we don't want to lose that. So it cuts down on glare as well as reflection. And then there's the racking, which holds the solar panels. We drive those into the ground. They're usually like an H-shaped pile driven. They're minimally invasive posts. Those will track, more than likely will be on a tracking. We'll go from east to west throughout the day to capture as much of the sun as possible. Next slide, please. Then the other major components is the electrical equipment, which is how we turn the direct current electricity into alternating current electricity, which the grid can use, and those are called inverters. We put those on concrete pads. And then there's also the remaining electrical infrastructure, which is then we take that alternating current and then we connect it up to the grid, into Empire Electric's grid. And the point of interconnection is right at the project site. And those are the major components. These are going to be on cement pads, that's just for safety and for leveling. Next slide, please. And the last components are fencing. We put an 8-foot security fence around the entire installation. It's really just to keep the public out. It's still a high voltage facility. And then we'll have some roads to get into the project, and then a few roads inside, and those are usually gravel, topped by gravel. Next slide, please. And then just a little bit on why solar is a great product for Colorado. As you know, we live in Cortez, there's an abundance of solar, a solar resource here, a great solar resource, one of the best in the country. And then additionally, it's something that Colorado has spent a lot of time looking at as the first state to institute an RPS, a renewable portfolio standard, and then in 2019 a new law was established trying to get the economy-wide emissions down to 90%, 90% below 2005 levels by 2040. And then, as a whole, it's a great land use in the sense that it's quiet, it's a great neighbor. Once you install it, there's very little O&M that's needed. There's no permanent staff there. It's very low profile, and it doesn't really use much water. Next slide, please. And the benefits that we find for the various communities for this project are indirect and direct. So there's the tax base, the property tax, which is I think we're estimating about $500,000 for the life of the project will be injected into the community for roads and fire department, et cetera. As well as it also correlates with peak demand. It's generating electricity when most people are using it during the day. And then lastly, as I said, it's a fixed electricity rate. So we've signed a long-term power purchase agreement with Empire Electric, which the electricity rates will be known for the life of the project. There's no fuel risk, as it may be with coal or natural gas. And then there's local spending, especially during construction. We've already used some local contractors for developing the project, and we'll continue to do that. Maybe some employment opportunities, et cetera. Next slide, please. So this is just a photo of the project. I'm not sure how familiar everybody is with the site. It's east of Totten Lake. There's a tri-state transmission line that's running through the property. And right now it's vacant land. Next slide, please. So the critical elements for a successful solar project are broken down into from a macro level, 5 things we need to succeed. So we have done the first 4. We need a great solar resource, which we have. We need land, which we've signed a long-term lease with Empire Electric, because it's their land. Interconnection to the electrical grid, and there's a distribution line that will be interconnecting to there, and a power purchase agreement, which I mentioned. And then the last piece is to get the various permits and approvals to get the project to be allowed to go to construction, and that's why we're here today. Next slide, please. So just a few of the details on the project. It's about a mile east of Cortez. The project parcel is 37 acres, though we're not going to use much more than 20 acres. It's a long-term lease, as I mentioned. Right now, the area is zoned AR 35, large-scale agriculture and residential. It's vacant except for the 115 transmission line. And the size of the project is 2.2 megawatts AC, which is about comparable to about 460 homes of electricity over the year. And then, as I mentioned, it's ground-mounted on single-axis tracking panels.
Can I ask you a question? Will it be about 20 acres in of panels?
No, it'll be less. It's probably going to be around 12. You know, once we haven't done the geotech yet, so that we need to see what the subsurface looks like. Once we have a little bit more understanding, then we turn the geotech results over to the racking manufacturer, and they say, okay, this is what your subsurface looks like. This is what your racking is going to look like, and then we'll do a final design. You'll see some site layouts shortly. They're very preliminary, but that's essentially what it will look like. There's always some spacing between the panels, because what ends up happening, you don't want to keep them too close, because when they turn, you don't want them to shade each other. You're really trying to optimize a number of things. You're trying to use as little land as possible, but you also are trying to get the most production from the panels. And the construction is, we'd like to start shortly. Next slide, please. So we consulted with a number of agencies prior to that. That's really how we develop projects. We bring in stakeholders early on. So we talked to Colorado Parks and Wildlife, U.S. Fish and Wildlife Services, and then Army Corps of Engineers. We did an FAA consultation, as well as Department of Defense, which is pretty standard. And then last, we did a glare analysis to see if there is any glare in the perimeter from the roads and the residences near it. And there is no glare. Every project is unique in its own right. This one was that there's an eagle nest north of the project site, project parcel, which is governed by the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service. They have jurisdiction. But the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service, they really listen to what CPW, as the local agency, has to say. So we've been working very closely with them, and CPW has guidelines around bald eagles. And so if you can go to the next slide, please. This was our initial layout, because we were concerned there was a wetland. And as you can see, most of the panels are on the northern side of the project. But that is adjacent to where the eagle nest is. And so what CPW guidelines say is they don't want any surface disturbance within a quarter mile of the eagle's nest. So a quarter mile in a 35-acre parcel is not a lot. And so we consulted with Army Corps of Engineers to see if this was indeed a wetland that we would not be able to build in. And so we spoke to them, and they said, based on what we were doing, we would be able to drive posts in that wetland. We got a no permit required letter from them. And so we were able to start shifting the panels to the south at a request from CPW. And if you go to the next slide, this is the current site layout. And as you can see from that green buffer, that's the quarter-mile buffer for the eagle's nest. And this went on for some time. We really enjoyed working with CPW, and they really did appreciate the fact that we moved outside of the eagle nest buffer to minimize our impact to the eagles. And that's where the current layout is. But we spent a lot of time trying to find a solution that worked for everybody. As you can see here, the panels are a lot closer together than they were in the previous slide, because we've lost a lot more of the acreage that we could use. And so we've gotten them to, they're very appreciative. That we didn't need to get any permits from them in the beginning. That's not their jurisdiction, but we're trying to get their buy-in on the project and follow the guidelines, and that's where we are now. And that's where we are, and so that's what we're trying to get approval for the project. And I think that, and then just from a project compliance standpoint, as most of you know, this is, it's a private utility facility, which is allowed in this current zoning, as well as in 2015, the Board of County Commissioners passed a resolution in support of solar in this zone. And then also we're complying with all parcel setbacks, as well as the other requirements in the county code. Thank you. And then I'll answer any questions.
Those are man-made wetlands. Those wetlands were built when they did McPhee, and they had covered up some wetlands, and so they offset it with those man-made
Okay.
wetlands. So I'm sure Commissioner Tell knows a lot about eagles and a quarter mile.
Yeah, we work very closely with the Army Corps, and they appreciated us consulting with them. But they did say that we would be able to drive the posts. We have some construction limitations, what we can do, but we can drive the posts. But we can't take out all the grass, but we're able to work within their requirements.
I have a question for Empire Electric.
Sure.
Did you guys purchase this? How long have you owned this property that you're doing this project on?
I think since the 50s, the 1950s.
Okay, so
The parcel, so Empire used to own the parcel that's on the east or the south side of the road there, and the piece that on the other side of the road that borders Totten Lake. And Empire bought it in a bid to have a coal-fired power plant put in our service territory
Right.
back in about the 1950s or 1960s.
right.
There were several other co-ops that were vying as well. La Plata, San Miguel, Delta Montrose, all wanted it in their area, and it ended up getting built in Nucla.
Nucla.
So that's the Nucla power plant. So
Yeah.
Empire's just had that land there ever since.
Gotcha. I just have noticed a parcel up on 184 where you have a very large substation to the east of Narragansett on the south side of 184.
Yep, that's a tri-state substation.
Oh, that's Tri-State. Well,
It is, yep.
irrespective of that to me, the vacant field right directly adjacent to that has always struck me as a perfect place for a solar farm. You're right there at your the substation and stuff. But if that's Tri-State, I guess that makes it a little bit different for you guys. So, okay.
So you're just leasing the property then?
Yes,
And-
we're
and
going to
then-
lease
and then
the property to,
purchasing-
yep,
Purchasing the power back?
yes, that's
At
correct.
the,
Mhm.
okay.
And we are purchasing it at a price that's going to be beneficial to the entire membership of Empire Electric.
You getting it cheaper than Tri-State?
It's going to be, so the way that works is, so, yeah, we're purchasing the power from Cortez Solar One, and then Tri-State then purchases it from us. That's the way it works through our contract with them. And the arrangements are such as where it's going to be financially beneficial for Empire, which will be good for our entire membership.
Okay.
All right, let's open it up to public comment. If anybody would like to comment on this proposal, if you would come up to the podium and state your name and address.
Like I might be the only one.
That didn't come on, Kim. That didn't light up. That red ring didn't. Huh.
It's on down here.
Oh, yeah, okay. There it comes.
My name is Mike Canay. I live at 10264 County Road 29. My property adjoins this project. And I'm not really opposed to it if it can be done correctly, although I do think there are other areas in Montezuma County that are closer to substations where it would be more environmentally, have least impact on the environment. Just looking in the land use code, the only place that I could even see solar mentioned was under heavy industrial zone. And it was listed in number 16 under renewable energy, hydroelectric, solar, and wind farms. I think everybody knows that when it comes to solar, there's a little bit different effect on the environment than what we might have in our code. If you could pass this around. One of the things that I look at in the code is trying to protect the rural character of Montezuma County. Also, in there, you're going to find the effect of developments like this on property values. And this here is a document that was done by the University of Texas at Austin, and it's an exploration of property value impacts near utility scale solar installations. It's 68 pages long, and anyway, there's also negative and positive effects on solar owned values. Anyway, I've talked to Gavin Berg, and I really feel that if he can do this project right, I don't have a problem with it. But if I look at all of the other environmental issues, I do have concerns. This here is a 329 page, and this was done by the BLM, or the Regional Mitigation Strategy for Colorado Solar Energy Zones, the final report. A lot of information there on the impact. A lot of problematic issues with solar. Also, this was done for the 6 southwestern states by the BLM, and it's 450 pages long. That's why I only use one sheet. But these are considerations anyway for a comprehensive solar plan for Montezuma County. Here's a picture of the big bird. They sit on the Tri-State's power lines right outside of home. We can look right out the window when they're having breakfast in the morning. Evidently, they're migrating right now. They're not there, but they're usually there. But anyway, that's pretty much hasn't changed for me in our opposition to the project back on June 26th of 2017, which is in the minutes. And anyway, like I say, I don't oppose the project if it can be done correctly. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments.
Thanks, Mike.
Would anybody else like to get up and comment on this project? All right, seeing none, we will close this portion of the public comment, and we'll go back to the commissioners for a discussion and hopefully a decision. Any additional discussion? Commissioner?
I really don't have anything. It meets everything in the land use code, all of the,
Correct.
all the criteria that's set forth in the land use
They actually are
code.
doing a little further setback on the south boundary there where the residences are than what's required.
What is that setback?
25 feet, and they're proposing 50 feet.
And you still have plenty of room?
Yeah, we'll make it work.
Okay.
Yeah, I think we should sufficient. We've designed it that way just to take into consideration all the people involved.
I don't have anything else. I mean,
No.
it's
Planning and zoning sent it back with a unanimous support, so, yeah.
So I would move that we accept the special use permit application for the proposal of the solar photovoltaic project submitted by Empire Electric Association, Agent Cortez Solar 1 on property located at 10574 Road 29, Cortez, Colorado.
Second.
There's been a motion and a second to approve the special use permit application for the proposal of a solar photovoltaic project submitted by Empire Electric Association, Agent Cortez Solar 1 on property located at 10574 Road 29, Cortez, Colorado. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good
We'll
luck,
close
gentlemen.
this
Yeah, thank you for your time.
public hearing.
Thank you, guys. Yeah, thank you very much.
And when Kim's ready, we'll go to the next public hearing.
This isn't a public
I
hearing.
think we just
Oh.
have to sign
This is just-
you
Oh,
got
never
one
mind.
ready for us
We
to
need,
sign?
we need to
Do you
explain
want
why
the
we're
dis-
doing.
Okay, on
Do
the
you want an
public-
explanation or no?
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
Okay, this is for the Pleasant View
Fires.
Fire Department's new fire station out on Road CC. At the time, they did a single lot development subdivision, and they did a high impact permit application at the same time. The former planning director issued them a pending high impact permit based upon review of the construction process. And it got left at that.
Wow.
So, we ran across the file when the fencing company was checking on setbacks and easements out there to put a fence around the fire station. So I got a hold of Jeff Yoder and just let him know that they don't actually have an official high impact permit yet. But, we would get that taken care of today. And, yeah, there's no such thing as a pending high impact permit.
We're just cleaning house.
You either get one or you don't, because you
Yeah.
can't build it and then decide after the fact if
You
it's
don't,
approved or
not gonna
not.
give it, yeah.
So Jeff's happy, and that's why we need to get this signed. This is the actual high impact permit for that fire station.
All right,
Okay,
then we'll come down and sign it, and then
yeah.
we'll
Do we need a motion? Do we need a motion on this, or did that?
Probably already been done, right?
Thank
It's already
you.
been
Yeah,
done.
it was already moved and approved. It's just the.
How did it stay pending then? How did it
That
just
had
stay
been done
pending?
a couple of years ago.
Yeah, don't know.
It just, well, actually was noted as a notice to proceed so they could start construction
Construction.
for a pending high impact permit.
So, I mean, maybe do a motion.
I think we should. I think we better,
Do a
right?
motion
Because,
to accept that this is being changed.
we do need to do a motion.
Let's do a motion.
So what we did in this high impact permit, we talked with Jerry at the clerk's office just to make sure we worded it right for recording it appropriately. So this high impact permit references the,
The previous notice to proceed.
what was it, what's it recorded under?
The reception number.
Reception number, there you go. So this high impact permit refers to the reception number of the notice to proceed, so it's all tied together.
so how should I word my motion? That we're approving a previous pending high impact permit?
Just that you're approving high impact permit number 696 for
To
the,
correct the notice to proceed, reception number 618.
Yeah, you better bring me something to read. I'm not gonna remember that. You got a lot more information in there than I can remember. Okay, all right. Yeah. I would like to move that the high impact permit number 696 to correct notice to proceed, reception number 618055 be approved for the Pleasant View Fire Department.
Second.
Motion and a second to approve the high impact permit number 696 to correct notice to proceed, reception 618055 for the Pleasant View Fire Department. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Right, is this we sign here?
There's the blue pen.
Okay. I think this confusion, it happened about the same time Commissioner Candelaria came on board.
That would be incorrect.
I'm sure that was it.
This was way prior to me.
We're gonna throw it at him anyway, see what sticks, yeah.
Hey, Don, didn't you come on board about the same time as Commissioner Candelaria?
No,
No,
that was a month later after he had it all messed up.
That's not even about the same time.
That's why I came on board, is to fix what he's doing.
That's what I'd say.
Okay, we have Ann Beach of the Mancos Creative District to present for initial feedback on a proposed opera, outdoor opera. Is that correct?
Correct. Yep. You come up. This is Ann Beach with the Mancos Creative District and Ryan Brown, who is the property owner of Red Earth Ranch.
Welcome.
Yeah, so I just brought them in briefly. They contacted us about a month ago, and we discussed what they had proposed and that they needed a special use permit. Ann downloaded the special use permit off of the website, but it was from Road and Bridge for a road race application. And so, by the time she got back with me and found out it was the wrong application, then, we had already passed the deadline for sending public notices to the paper for the P&Z hearing. So they're scheduled to have their first, presentation or opera on October the 7th. The first P&Z meeting won't be till September 13th. They're trying to bring in their musicians and get everything set up the week before P&Z so that they can quarantine and acclimate and do a residency there in Mancos while they're getting prepared for this opera. So I just suggested to them to do a brief presentation with you guys just to see what your initial comments are and how you're viewing it, just so they have a general indication going forward, since it's going to be late to get to P&Z and then back to you guys like a week before they want to do their performance.
And Don, what are the factors that are creating the need for the special use permit?
Well, they're looking at having roughly 175 people there. They're planning on the Wednesday, I believe it's the 7th, having the schools out there for an afternoon matinee type show, and then the larger community there Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Initially, they were looking at getting serving alcohol, but since they have decided not to pursue that, but it's just a matter. This is on the road up to
Echo Basin.
Echo Basin.
So has
So they-
does CDOT, have they been talked to about?
She has contacted CDOT. She's talked to the sheriff and Road and Bridge, but they wanted her to come through planning first with the application before they gave their input. But I don't see any big issues, but just because of the volume of people, traffic, cars, the whole scenario, that's why it requires a special use permit for lighting and the music and whatnot for the adjoining neighbors.
Okay.
Okay.
So
Turn
here's
it over to
Ann.
you guys.
Well, I'm gonna let Ryan, he's the property owner, so I'll let him. And you already presented everything that I was gonna say.
He does a pretty good
Yeah.
job.
Yeah, I think Don kind of did it. Thank you. Anyway, good morning.
Good morning.
And as Don said, I'm Ryan Brown, the family manager of the Ritter Ranch over on the Menifee Place on the Echo Basin Road, and Ann is with the Mancos Creative District, and the ranch is now my primary residence, and I'm in the slow process of retiring from my other job as a founder of a musical organization back east, and in doing so, I put together this opera project called The Blacksmith, which was to be performed at the Mancos Opera House on April 30th and May 2nd and 3rd, and of course that was canceled due to COVID. And our partners in the project, in addition to the Opera House and the Creative District and my musical group, which is called Opera Lafayette, include Andrew Soletta and his music students at the Mancos School District, which as Don alluded to. And we'd sold out the performances in about 2 months in advance when the project had to be canceled. And we've rescheduled with rehearsals and a residency in the Opera House, but with outdoor performances that week of October, the 7th with the kids, and then the 9th, 10th, and 11th at the ranch on Echo Basin Road. And the income from the performances is going to benefit the Creative District and the Mancos Cattlemen's Association. And so Don had suggested that because each of them would have up to 150 in the audience and their, other performers and production crew, that we should come to you, and we wanted to get any concerns or questions you had right now, since we're that far along in the planning process. And so Ann's talked to all the agencies and tell you what she's done, and I'm happy to answer any other questions you might have about the project.
Okay.
So.
Any questions, commissioners?
No,
I have none.
Looks kind of like an outdoor any other kind of outdoor performance, or which we run out at the fairgrounds, and
I think your Echo Basin turnoff there has A and D lanes. I think CDOT's probably gonna find it pretty amiable for you to work out that place there off the Echo Basin Road, so I think it's a grand idea.
Okay, and I did talk to Sheriff Nowlin again yesterday about, because part of the CDOT application indicates you need to have a traffic and safety plan in place, and he said if they require some, deputies to be there, he's happy to have deputies there on the highway. And he also recommends that we try to have some signage, directing people not just onto Road 44, but on the highway if CDOT will allow that. But he really said that he doesn't really even think, the performances start at 5 o'clock in the evening, and we're gonna, in order to get that kind of, we probably will have about 75, say, cars per event, and maybe even a little fewer than that. We're going to try to encourage people to come early, and so it won't be.
Get them out at sunset, pretty much.
And it won't be at dark when they're leaving. So
I
we're
think
working. I've enjoyed getting to know everybody in the Montezuma County departments. I've talked to the health department, road and bridge. I've done a lot of work with you guys. Talked to Shaq, talked to Sheriff Nowlin a few times, talked to Rob. Anyway, so it's been an interesting process for me. It's new, so.
I think it's a great idea.
I think you're going to be a branch of Santa Fe here pretty quickly. And, I think it's going to.
I hope not. But maybe
they put on some pretty good stuff down there. So
yeah.
But that's I think it's a very intriguing direction to go over there. I think it's really neat.
It's going to be
thank
really
you.
fun.
Thank you.
Too. And
I have no issue with anything at all. I think it's an outdoor venue. It's going to be, it's in a place that's big enough and open enough, and I think we all need to continue on with our lives and to start making positive things happen within our community and within our world, and I think this is just a step to be able to move that forward, so I'm good with it.
I think you got your answer that the commissioners are.
You need a motion of any sort, Don, or anything? Okay.
We were just wanting to.
Just with the timeline, we just needed to.
Yeah.
We're in support of your
So that you didn't
venture.
incur a lot of cost and then get shut down.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you very much.
Yeah, good luck.
Yeah,
good luck.
good luck.
Hope you're successful.
Appreciate it.
Thanks.
Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Hope to see you there.
we have lots of
Culture.
Okay.
We have lots of good support for
Yeah.
all the performances, and so it's going to
Good.
be great. Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Don.
Thanks so much, Don, for working with me.
Okay, the next item on the agenda is Melvin Hicks is requesting an exemption from part of the planning process. Can you elaborate on this, Don, or? Oh,
Yeah, I'm Melvin Hicks. I reside at 13162 County Road 25. Okay, I'm Melvin Hicks. I reside at 13162 County Road 25. I went to your Planning and Zoning Commission about splitting off 10 acres of my 80-acre ranch and the house. And Mr. Haley was very cooperative, and I will give him, I appreciate him. He is very honest, and that's one thing I can say for him. That's more than the rest was before. But anyway, he was very helpful, and anyway, he threw me a curve when he said I need to send registered letters to everybody adjoining my property, which I'm not against that in one way, but in another way I am. Because I had 2 subdivisions around me split their property and never mailed me a letter. And Mr. Haley can vouch for that. He was cooperative. He looked in the computer. He looked in the paperwork. Yes, my name was on the list, but there's no record of ever being sent anything. That's 2 properties that was split, and I've been to you before about before he took over, and some of the rest on the county commissioner, on the planning and zoning about not following the rules. And if, I don't feel like I should follow the rules if they didn't follow it for them to commission. That's my gripe with them.
So a question I would ask is I guess we've always done it that way, but why is it the landowner that sends out the notices and not the planning department?
Why does the landowner send them out?
Yeah, instead of the planning department.
That's just part of their requirement and their cost to make the copies and certify mail them. And I couldn't find any record of anything being sent other than Lebanon Estates. They had an issue with their North Drive back in 2013, and those certified mailings only went to the subdivision owners, not the adjoining property owners, because it only affected revision of that north entrance exit out of the
that's where they made that right out only, and we changed all of that. But
right, so that's.
But Mr. Hicks should have been notified, and he should have had a letter sent to him when they started subdividing that
Right.
60 or 70 acres there.
And both subdivisions, the Brubaker moderate
Right.
to the west of 25.
Right.
There's not any evidence of anybody
Receiving letters.
being sent a certified packet.
Huh.
So I don't know what happened or why both of them occurred in 2006, but there's no evidence of who got one and
And that
who
was in
didn't.
2006, and
Both
who was our planning director at that time? Was that
I
Susan?
believe Karen
Susan
was
Carver?
here the first half of the year, and then Susan Carver was the
Well,
second half.
I can speak very clearly to the one to the north
Yeah.
of Mr. Hicks, obviously.
Right.
And I can tell you that we went through the entire process, and if that meant that we mailed out letters, then we would have done that. So whatever that process was, plus we actually ended up going through an initial traffic study for that subdivision prior to any approvals that went on there. So not only did we carry out the entire process, we went more stringent through
Well,
that process.
It
because
sounds
of
like the
that. So-
process may have been flawed at that time, or that somehow
I'm not-
that Mr. Hicks being a boundary, he of all people should have been sent a letter of an impact letter because
I
his
totally
property
agree, 'cause
boundaries that.
But
Yeah.
they touch north and south. Or
Melvin, it sounds like there are mistakes made in every business and every endeavor that there
I understand
is. and-
that. That's what I was telling
Yeah.
Mr. Healy. I didn't
Yeah.
see the fact of, I wasn't blaming him.
No, I
No
yeah.
way, because he was very good with me.
Yeah.
One thing is, I couldn't figure out how they done two subdivisions in the same time and never notified nobody.
I think that's a valid question coming from your standpoint. I think that's as valid as you can ask, that you've been surrounded by two different developments and never got a
I never
notification letter
contested in
from
one
them,
of them.
so I don't,
I went to the meeting that Mr. Candelaria is talking about,
yeah.
and Mr. Preston wanted me to object to it, and I didn't. I said, no, the landowner could do what he wanted with his land as long as he followed the rules.
Yeah.
But I never got a letter on it.
Yeah.
I only come because Preston was pushing me to make my comment, and I wouldn't object.
So currently, we require that we give them the actual certified mail stickers to put on their
Yeah.
packets.
Yeah.
The applicant fills those out, takes them to the post office, they get stamped, then they have to send us a picture of every single one of those packets with the certified mail stamped from the post office to put in the file.
Wow.
That way we have evidence of the date it was stamped to make sure we meet the minimum 10-day notice, as well as they have to post the sign on the property and send us a picture of the sign, so we know the date that it was posted.
Wow.
How many people are we talking about?
How many neighbors do you have, Melvin? There's two of them you don't have to send them to. One of them's a subdivision to the north, and the other one's across. They didn't send you nothing, so I don't think you have to send them anything. So.
Well, I don't know. I haven't even counted them up. I haven't even got that far with Mr. Healy to see.
Actually,
Yeah,
this is
I don't
one
know.
of the things that we're talking about in the land use code, which just for this specific reason of adjacent property owners to adjoining property
Right,
owners. So
exactly.
this is one of the things.
One of the
that we're
things we
trying
wanted to clean
clear
up and make sure that the only people.
So, if it reads, which it still reads right now, adjacent, so you would be, everybody around you to the north, south, east, and west
Right.
would be
And I don't know if at that time they determined that across the county road was not adjacent. I can't see how you
No,
would.
no. I had to send letters to people that were across the county road on County Road N from my dad.
But I don't know why on the Brubaker moderate that it wasn't done either. There wasn't any evidence either way that anything was sent or wasn't sent. But the actual maps with the list of property owners where we number them, 1, 2, 3, whatever, those are all on the files, but there's just no evidence. But we do require that. So that we've got that in the file, and that way it shows that was mailed out and it's stamped by the post office.
Do you have any idea about how many people that we're talking
Oh,
about?
God, he's probably got 6 on the north, 10 to the west, 3 or 4 to the south, and I'm not sure to the east. It may just be one big property that,
No, there's 2 to the east I know of.
so I mean,
No, 3, because Satley would hook up to me too.
he's probably got a dozen.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
10 to 15, something like that.
So, Mr. Hicks, what are you requesting from the commissioners today?
Well, I feel like if none of the rest of them followed it, why should I be following?
That's a pretty damn good question.
I was in business for too many years.
I understand. Obviously, the gaps got opened wide on this one. So I would like to recommend that since Mr. Hicks was never notified on the developments that went around him, and that was as a direct result of our former planning department, somehow the fugacy happened. I would recommend that our planning department do the notification, do the photographing of the certified letters, and you guys be responsible for notifying all those adjacent property owners instead of putting it on Mr. Hicks. And still follow your procedure, do what you're supposed to do, but you guys do it rather than requiring Mr. Hicks to do it to cover up the mistake that was made 2 times prior on him.
Well, it may
See,
never get
I'm
done.
not
I
sure
just-
there was a mistake made. I don't,
There's
just
no
because-
record of, there's no record of it.
I understand that.
Okay.
But because the document got lost, because I can tell you that
Well,
I've sent out many of those,
There's no-
but I understand.
yeah, Jim,
that,
I
so
understand. There's no evidence of
but
it
there
though.
is no
And
evidence, so-
Mr. Hicks says he never received
We're
anything.
still
so-
following the process. It's
Right.
just going to lay on the Planning and Zoning Commission prior to.
Because that
prior
follows
to
under
Mr.
Colorado revised statutes on
Right, I was
notice,
gonna
so we
say that's a
can't
statute
forego
Yeah,
that.
we
has
can't
to be
Right.
change that.
I understand that. So
Colorado law.
would our planning department be willing to follow that kind of a protocol and alleviate Mr.
Sure.
Hicks from having to do that himself? And
Oh, yeah,
you
we
guys
can.
take care of it?
We can do that if
We
he,
can do that.
You good with
And the
that?
process is still followed, right?
Sure, absolutely.
Yes,
No,
but
no,
not
everybody's
yet.
notified.
The
and-
process
Yeah.
is not yet, because I'm gonna get it surveyed,
Yeah.
and I don't know if it'll ever happen, it's according to whether the guy can afford it or not. Doing it that way.
Yeah, sure,
Yeah.
sure. But you gotta do this first. You
Yes,
gotta
I
have
gotta
to have
start
this
out
done
with
first
and
to
that's
see if,
the idea, and
yeah.
Does
that's why I
planning
was
have
going and
this
seeing Mr. Haley.
within the budget already, or do we need to move money around?
no, we can take care of it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm in agreement with Commissioner Patel. You know that, well, I have seen in the 7.5 years being a commissioner is how many mistakes that government makes.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
For
I
some
know.
reason, they're never responsible.
That's, yeah.
Everybody else is,
Yeah, but not,
but when the government makes a mistake, they should fix it,
Yeah.
just like everybody else. So,
Have you been to Silverton?
no, why?
Oh, the EPA spilled something up there. It's all.
well, will
And I
that
think that's
satisfy, will
fine.
that satisfy you, Mr. Hicks?
Yes, it will.
Okay, well, we'll get that part of this process done, and our planning department knows how to do it, and they'll get
Yeah,
it taken
they
care
were
of.
very
And
good to me, and I
and-
can't complain on it.
good. I'm glad to hear that.
It's the other ones previously that I had trouble with.
Yep, I got you. Well, we're in a new day and a new bunch, so here we
Right.
go. So
He's very
good,
good.
good luck. I hope your buyer can afford you.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Melvin.
Anything else?
Nope.
Nope.
You know, I would like to make a comment about our planning department, and my wife is looking for some property for some gentlemen, and they picked multiple counties that they were interested in doing a project, and so all the way from Gunnison County, La Plata County, Archuleta County, and my wife called Mr. Haley and asked how long the process takes to do a development and how much does it cost, and he gave her a one-sentence response answering those questions. Then she started getting the responses from the other counties. Archuleta County says, their planning director says, well, it will take and by the way, I think you told her up to 4 months or 2 at the most. It will take 1.5 years in Archuleta County, and I can't tell you what the cost would be. La Plata County was 2 years, and I can't tell you what the cost would be. Gunnison County was the same thing. And so what I want to say about our planning department in Montezuma County is this is a perfect example when you have too many rules that the people, you can't even give anybody an answer because you've made so many rules. And it's a very welcoming to know that Montezuma County is a place, because these people that have $10 million said that they're going to Montezuma County. They're not going to go to those other counties. So I want to commend you guys. You do a really good job.
Thank you.
Yeah.
We're proud of you for making
You
the
bet.
process as simple
You bet.
as possible.
And it's good you know your job, and that's even better. And so that I concur with Commissioner Sukla. You're to be commended for. You don't know where your straight answers will lead somebody. You know? Straight answer will often lead to good things sometimes. So.
Right.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And I
All right.
also
Good on
agree.
you.
I've been bothering them a lot in the last 2 or 3 weeks. A lot.
All right. Thank you, guys.
All right.
Thanks.
Folks, we're going to have to move the sheriff up on the agenda. He's got a 10:15 haircut appointment. I know, he's got a 10:15 appointment. So, yeah. But, no.
He
Come
only
on up,
gets them
Sheriff.
once a year.
Okay. We've gone through the fire ban for an extensive period of time. We did get quite a bit of moisture a few weeks ago. As you can see, the higher elevations are doing much better as far as moisture-wise. Forest Service has lifted its restrictions. BLM is to follow suit. Mesa Verde has. And I've contacted all of the fire chiefs in the county and discussed this with them. All were okay with it. They're cautious about it, just like we all should be. But you know, for these small burning projects that people are wanting to do in a very controlled manner, make it safe. And I talked with the Dolores Town Board last night, and they've removed their fire ban restriction in town as well. So Pleasant View was mostly concerned about it, but I think that if we put out a good information and public relations output to our residents about how to maintain and safely burn in our county and keep the fires small, not large, they'll comply. And I've been very impressed with everybody that I've dealt with over these past several months. That they're very conscious about it, they're very responsible with it, and they want to comply. But I think it's time that we lift it, take a look at it, and I'd like for you to think about that, to lift this fire ban at this time. If it does get worse, we can always revisit it, but I think now would be an okay time to go ahead and lift this in the county at the time. Any questions or or anything that you have?
Well, Sheriff, I'm just going to have to respectfully disagree with you. I don't think in these lower elevations, I think we're headed right back to what's going on up there outside of DeBeck and what's going on up that I-70 corridor. And I think down here in these lower elevations, in our opinion, Juniper, we're set for a fire, and I just don't think that I can understand the Forest Service maybe up in those higher elevations that there's enough greenery to protect them, but I just don't think we're still going dry. There's no moisture in our forecast, and I'll tell you, things are drying out just like they were before we got that good little monsoon week and a half there. But
Well, that's
I think
definitely
put these
concerning.
people that need to do their private burns or have a brush pile or whatever, let's put them off until October. Let's put them off into autumn, into fall, when we start seeing a little bit more cooler temperatures, maybe less winds. You know, sometimes that there's still a red flag warning going out today out of Grand Junction for our section of the county. So I think we're a little premature in wanting to take that fire ban off. I can't speak for the Forest Service or BLM,
Well, I understand that.
but
We
that's
have
just
private
my,
land that's within those, and that's the thing, too.
yeah.
And unfortunately, our fire ban ordinance doesn't go by elevation or even fire
No,
distance.
that's true. I understand
It's all
that.
or everything.
I understand that.
And so, commissioners, what the legal standard is for you all to decide is whether there's sufficient competent evidence of that you were presented of moisture in the county to lift it. And so, if you don't think so, then you don't lift it. If you think that we've been presented sufficient evidence, I mean, usually the standard is really kind of a subjective standard for
I know it's
you
very
three to
subjective. It's
decide
very
whether or
subjective,
not
yeah.
there is sufficient moisture or not. So if you don't think there is, if two of you don't think there is, then it doesn't get lifted. If two of you think that there is sufficient evidence of moisture to lift the fire ban, then you can vote on it. And I prepared just a draft resolution in case you all chose to lift the fire ban. You don't have to. It's your call.
So I actually would like input from the fire chiefs. Did you get input?
Yeah,
And-
yes, from all of them. I don't come before you for this without talking with them. They're, like I said, Chief Jeff Yoder was probably the most reluctant, but he understood that, he's on the fence, but he's okay with it. The same way with Jay Balfour with Cortez Fire, which are our lower elevations, they're okay. Chief George Devers with Louis Ariola, they're okay, but, we're all cautious about it, and we're all putting a lot
Let me
of
ask you
thought
a
into
question,
it.
Sheriff. If say I had a slash pile out on my private land out there that I really had a burning desire to burn, could I call in? Could I call you and get a permit? Can that be permitted in this?
Oh, yes,
So
there's an avenue.
Yeah, so there's an avenue for people to burn.
The permits are still being processed even with this burn ban, correct? The way I
Yes, at
understood it,
times.
within the
I've
jurisdiction.
held it off because of any red flags that we had several weeks before for that. I'm not, but I don't issue those without contacting the fire chiefs.
No, I understand that. So, but there is an avenue for somebody that has a real, what they perceive as a true need to burn something. There's an avenue for them to go through you and their local fire district that protects them to get that done.
Yeah.
So, well,
And so even if the ban was lifted, directing people to the fire districts for assistance and information and things like that, that's always been, I'll tell you, this year has actually helped bring a lot of those communities to their fire districts for assistance in education and
well,
whatnot.
and then you're also asked and required to go through dispatch to say,
Yes.
I'm having a controlled burn at such and such an address so that they know that
They
there's
have
something
to.
going on, so.
Yeah, they have to. So I just thought I would, there's just so much pressure out there, and I understand it. But that's strictly up to you. I mean, I wanted to bring it to your attention to at least let's visit this and you tell me what you think. I think that we're okay with it, but if we want to continue with it, that's what we'll do.
Do you have anything to add, George?
Come on, George.
No, we've got more moisture down low. As you go west, Cortez is, there have been places got up to 3 inches. A half a mile, well, almost a mile south of my house, I was talking to a guy last night that had actually got almost 2 inches of moisture. I only had 1 inch, Pleasant View's got less, so it's kind of a belt that went through. Well, now, give them a point, they had 2 inches in one storm. So, it's been real spotty. I feel that people have got a lot more conscious about whenever they're doing control burns. I'm kind of both ways with it. I could either take it or leave it. That's kind of where I'm at right now. Most of our big fires are caused from lightning, so it doesn't matter if somebody's burning a slash pile or a thunderstorm come in, that's going to be usually where the bigger fires are coming from. I'm not saying we never have any because of people, but people seem like they're a lot more conscientious about it. So I'm either way.
Ms. Purcell, did you get a good summary in your notes of that, or should we have Mr. Devers come up to the microphone? You got it? Okay.
And I definitely understand where Commissioner Till is coming from. I mean, we look at I-70 yesterday from noon till this morning, and that's, I think, 1,400 acres as of this morning. So I get what you're saying, George, that there are spots that have had a lot of moisture, but some that have had very little. But, I mean, if you've talked to the fire chiefs and they're okay with it, then I think we look at it and we watch it and we put it back into play if we need to per their recommendation.
And I'll go along with you, Commissioner Tell, that, and I haven't heard that from any of you, but I'll bring this out because I think it needs to. The cost to the county for wildfires that are not on public land is expensive.
It's expensive.
Okay. And so that would be.
And also wildfires that start on private land that go to public land cost the county a lot of money.
Yeah. So it's just the way.
Are you suggesting to go by the recommendations of the fire chiefs?
I am. I think that obviously they've evaluated it. They evaluate it. I don't know if they do it daily, but obviously quite frequently. What is the RH right now?
I haven't looked at it the last couple of days. It's low.
Single digits?
Yep.
Yeah.
I saw it yesterday, it was 6%.
Yeah.
Relative humidity.
Well, our storm's over with. That storm we got, that 1.5 inches and 3 inches, that's gone. It's done. And there's no more on the horizon. And
Our nights are definitely cooler and the humidity
yeah,
is a little
that's true.
higher,
I'll
so
go with you there.
That's one thing in our favor, but you're absolutely right. I think we needed to have this discussion.
Has there been any more counties that have relaxed the fire ban? Do you know?
I haven't done a survey to find out.
Okay.
No, I haven't.
I think just around us, it's just been the Forest Service and the BLM.
Yeah.
I think they're the only
They're
ones
the big
around
ones.
us that have done it well, and the Park Service. obviously.
So they released the fire
They
ban?
released them about a week ago.
Yeah,
10
about
days
2
ago?
weeks ago, yeah. Yeah, they lifted that.
Well, I tell you, I'm not knowledgeable about it, but I feel like the fire chiefs are.
Me too. It's, that is the thing that is always the struggle, is because it is so spotty at times when this happens. We've got so much private land within public lands too that this affects. And, that's why I felt responsible enough to come in and talk to you about it, to see if this is something that you would be agreeable to. If not, we can look at it later down the road. It's whatever. So, okay, I'm not adamant about anything. I just want us to look at this, and if we can lift it, it would help. But if you think that we need to keep it, then we'll keep it up for I hate to
So-
dump this on your plate, but I am. Okay?
No, that's all right. I mean,
It's okay, just keep piling it on. Everything else keeps piling
I'm trying
on.
to share some that's on my plate.
Share the load, yeah,
Okay,
you share the load a little
Okay,
bit.
so, yeah.
Well, commissioners, what do you want to do?
Well, I'm going to make a motion. I move that we leave the fire ban in place. I don't feel like that that we've escaped this exceptionally dry period, and I think it's wise and safe for us to leave the fire ban in place. And there are avenues for people that feel a absolute need to burn stuff. They can get permitted through the sheriff and through their fire district to do controlled burns, but. I'm opposed at this point to lift the fire ban. It died for a second.
Either of you may second if you'd like to.
Yeah.
Neither of you have to. You can let it die and make your own motion if you want. And see if it gets a second.
Well, I see where Commissioner Tell's coming from. Yeah,
I do too.
I really
do
do.
too.
It's tough, I know.
You know, on the other hand, I have something that I really want to burn. Even if the fire ban was lifted, I still would not burn it until there was a heck of a rainstorm. So it would be nice having that option, because what I need is a rainstorm to light that thing on fire. And if this ban was not taken back, then it would still be in place. Of course, you said there's an avenue.
Oh, and my phone rings, and I mean, it's many.
Yes,
Wow.
Steve.
Okay.
I understand you're trying to get some of the burden off of. I understand that, Steve. I understand that.
All right.
I understand.
We haven't got a second yet.
Yeah, but you also would somebody has to make the motion to lift the fire ban, and see if that gets a second too. I mean, otherwise it's gonna stay the same. I mean, Commissioner Ertel's motion is basically for the status quo.
Well, if anybody needs a 10-minute break while they're discussing, go stretch your leg.
Well, this is,
Well,
here
if-
again, this is just, and trust me, I agree with what you're saying. I looked at that fire yesterday from noon till today, and it's
Went
blown
from
up.
50
But there
acres to
again,
1,300
I don't
acres
know
and-
what
yeah.
the conditions in the Glenwood Canyon are.
Yeah.
I can only look at the conditions that we're having here and look at the fire chiefs here. So I would move that we accept resolution number 9, 2020 for the suspension of the ban of open fires and the use of fireworks.
Second. There's been a motion and a second to approve resolution number 9-2020, the suspension of the ban on open fires and use of fireworks. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All those against?
Aye.
Motion carries 2-1.
There you go.
Please don't let Commissioner Tell be right.
Yeah, please let me be wrong. Yeah,
Please.
I will happily lose on this one. I will happily lose on this one.
Yes.
I know. I know. All right. Thank you.
Yeah,
And-
good luck, man.
Is there a way to get one of those masks that says sheriff on it? It might come in handy.
All right. Hopefully this will lighten your phone bill.
Okay, we're going to go back on to the regular schedule, and we will go to public comment. If anybody would like to comment, would you please come up to the podium and state your name and address for public comment? Good morning, Karen.
Good morning.
Good morning. Yes.
You might have to pull it a little closer to you.
I could turn. Is that better?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I appreciate you letting me come today. I'm here to request that you, as the county commissioners, sign a proclamation that was sent to you probably a week or two ago, maybe, Shaq, that recognizes and celebrates the 100th anniversary of the passage of the 19th Amendment, which was the amendment that I won't say gave, because women certainly worked very hard to have it passed, the ratification of the 19th Amendment, which gave women the right to vote. And when I say women, actually, I mean white women, because even though we had a lot of black women that worked on this, they didn't actually gain the right to vote until 1965 when the Voting Rights Act was passed. This was a effort that took 100 years to pass. Women like Susan B. Anthony, Sojourner Truth, Louise Rankin, Carrie Katie Chapman, Alice Ball, all worked really hard to advocate, to lobby, and ultimately even to protest to get the people who were in the position to make that decision to agree that women should have the right to vote. So we are celebrating that. It was ratified on August the 18th, 1920, and so August the 18th will be the 100th anniversary. And I might add that the League of Women Voters was formed just shortly before the amendment was passed, because many women believe that in addition to having the right to vote, there needed to be a place for women to go to educate themselves so that when they did vote, it was an informed vote. And the League of Women Voters is now celebrating their 100th anniversary with their continuing mission to help get people registered, help remove barriers to being able to vote, and providing information through such platforms as Vote 411 and the ballot pamphlets that are sent out every election year, so that people can educate themselves and have a better understanding and able to make a good decision. We are nonpartisan. We don't take any positions on candidates themselves, but we do offer them platforms to get their word out and their positions.
Discussion, commissioners?
No,
No,
pretty,
I don't.
pretty self-evident, I would say.
Well, I would hope so.
Yeah. I would like to move that the proclamation honoring the 100th anniversary of the 19th Amendment to the United States Constitution, women's right to vote, be accepted and proclaimed by this Board of County Commissioners.
And I will second that.
Okay. I got
There-
one to get second. I finally got one seconded.
Well, it ain't over yet. No. There's been a motion and a second to approve a proclamation honoring the 100th anniversary of the 19th Amendment to the United States Constitution, a proclamation for the women's right to vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Great, thank you so much.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you,
If
Karen.
you will sign it, and then I've made arrangements for the paper to come and take a picture. We'll confirm the time and the date for next week. All of the county and city clerks will be there to have their picture taken, so that we can hopefully get that in the newspaper. And
So do you want that with the picture?
yes, yes, so if you just want to bring that when you come, that would be wonderful. Okay, well,
Karen,
great, thank you so much.
Do you have a preference about what we do with the original? Usually we probably just distribute a scanned copy of it, but if you want the original, just tell us.
Do I want the original? Sure, I'll take it, and then,
Okay. I mean, I just didn't know if you needed it, but you can have the
Okay.
original. I don't know if you frame these things
Yeah.
or what you do with
yeah,
them,
that would be
but
great. Okay. Yeah, bring it with me, and then, wonderful. All right, thank you so much.
All right, thank you, Karen.
Uh,
Anybody else, public comment? Yes, Greg, come on up.
She was actually on the agenda.
Greg Kemp, Road 35, Mancus. Last week, Mr. Pope suggested that we look into the housing density in the along the Animas River above
Durango.
and I did that. And I found out that particular issue is totally irrelevant to the circumstances we have here in Montezuma County, because the Animas River is not the domestic water source for Durango and surrounding communities, whereas here in Montezuma County, obviously, the Mancos and Dolores rivers are the domestic water source for all of us. So with that in mind, I think the most beneficial thing that the county commissioners can do is whatever they can to enhance the health of the forests in these watersheds. And I think that the least beneficial thing that the county commissioners can do is allow increased residential housing in those watersheds. And so I just wanted to bring that to your attention because it was brought up last week.
Greg, I do have a question though, because
Sir.
I vaguely remember when there was the Gold King spill.
Yes.
Do you remember that, and it turned the river orange
Yes.
to Animas? Well, I also remember an article where that part of the drinking water for Durango did come from the river. So are you sure that none of their drinking water source comes out of that river? Because I recollect that part of their drinking water did, but I might be wrong. Does anybody remember that?
I cannot answer.
I
to
can't
that.
answer that.
But it would seem so logical that Durango in the past would have used that river for their, just like we use the Dolores and Dolores use it. It would seem like the most relative simple way to get water for that community would be out of the Animas rather than out of Vallecito Reservoir, because Vallecito, when that town was first formed, wasn't even built. So I would have to concur. I would think there would be some portion, maybe not absolutely all of it, but some portion of their domestic water
There may
supply.
have been at one time, but
Yeah.
my understanding is that at the present time, all of the domestic water for Durango comes out of Vallecito. And I remember that spill, and I do remember that there were some intakes at various places that were shut off because of that spill, but I don't think that any of it had to do with the
let's say it does
Durango
come from-
drinking water.
Well, I think
Look at our board, it says that it does.
it says water sources from the Florida and Animas River.
So it takes two.
Collect supply from surface water sources, Florida and Animas River. So something's haywire.
I guess on the river, because we've been getting a lot of letters. In fact, we need to let the public know that we are reading your letters. Those letters are on the record. So they can go to look at the responses. But there's several things. One of them is that there is multiple 1 acre lots up that river already. Was you aware of that?
The Dolores River, is that what
Yeah,
you're
the
saying?
Dolores River, there's multiple 1 acre lots currently.
Subdivisions.
There may be subdivisions that were created before the land use code was.
No, that's not, no, I don't think necessarily before the land use code. That, the Forks subdivision, I think, was implemented. I think that the planning and zoning approved that. I think the Forks, I'm not sure where this other one was, if it was prior to the, but anyway, there are a number of 1 acre lots up that river.
And planned unit developments allow
Yeah,
that.
That's right, exactly.
Which is Commissioner Candelario's going to bring up.
Which is my,
Yeah.
Yes, planned unit developments do
Exactly.
allow that, but at the same time, that keeps the overall density the same.
You want to elaborate on it? Because
I do, actually.
This is
I
your
was-
baby.
See how that'll work.
You know, I've actually, like I said earlier, been doing a lot of homework with our Planning and Zoning Commission and doing a lot of research, reading what happened in 2013, 2014. So I think one of the recommendations to treat the Dolores River Valley like anywhere else in the county, I think we have a couple of things that we really need to look at. One, obviously, the river, and then two, obviously, from an email I got back from a traffic engineer, is State Highway 145. those two compress that valley into something that's very small. So I think originally, and correct me if I'm wrong, I don't want to overstep my bounds by speaking for somebody else, but when we set this forward to the Planning Commission, we were basically looking at setbacks. So in the Dolores River Valley, the 50-foot setback, from all of the research that I've done, other than just trying to comply with the rest of the county, that's the only way you have that 50-foot setback. There's room for flexibility there, and I, for one, think that can be moved to the rest of the county within 30 feet is what they're proposing right now. Secondly, I think if we can get rid of that arbitrary 230-foot circle, because if you look at a lot of those 1 acre tracts that are already up the river, you're not going to be able to do anything with those. So I think that was one of the things that we were looking at. And then thirdly, the setback from the river. So a lot of the letters that we have gotten specifically reference the on-site wastewater treatment systems, which by statute, the CRS, and I can't cite it right now, but those are only 50 feet away from the river and 100 feet away from the domestic water, which is a well. So I'm not really sure, and I can't find, other than just one bit of information that talks about a riparian area for 100 feet, but we're 100% greater of a setback from the river than the state statutes. So I think really, to me, because of what you just stated, a PUD, I think we could, whether it's up the Dolores River Valley or whether it's anywhere else in Montezuma County, if you have a PUD, you could do that right now.
Mm-hmm.
So really, 1 acre lots are permissible as it stands right now. So I think we can, I think we can just take that off of the table, that AR 1 through 3, and leave that, and just really look for the Dolores River Valley of just 3 criteria, and then whatever we decide and come up with is really what we should be looking at. Because the way the land use code is right now, within those areas where it can be acceptable. And the other thing, the email I sent you from CDOT, there are a lot of areas up that river that will never, you get one access per parcel right now. So without a traffic study, even if you wanted to add those, it doesn't necessarily mean that CDOT is going to allow any more accesses onto State Highway 145. So that would be a recommendation that I have, and we would basically take that back to planning and zoning. So I think it would quail a lot of this anxiety that's growing out there. Obviously, water quality is not political. We all need it. It's all the same for all of us, and we're definitely not trying to hurt the water quality. So the statutes for the on-site wastewater treatment systems will stay the same. And again, we are one step more stringent than the state with engineered septic systems than what's required under Regulation 43.
The last letter that we received was just staunch against 1 acre lots. And the people that wrote it live up the river on a 1 acre lot. And I'm like, you got to be kidding me. You know,
really?
It's this attitude of, I got mine, now let's close the gate.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I got mine, and I represent, you know, I love private property rights. However, I'm going to tell my neighbor what he should do and shouldn't do with his private property. I don't know. There are just a lot of hypocrites out there, but I think that Commissioner Candelaria is on to something. So we'll see. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody else? Then let's go to Jim McLean for the IT update. Sorry, gentlemen.
Dang, those guys sit way back there in that back row. Can
Well,
you figure
they're-
these guys out?
Because we couldn't go further back.
Well, fine, McLean. Tell us what you got then. Yeah.
You know what, sirs? I actually don't have hardly anything. It's been just
How's our
forward.
tower here working with our landfill? and
Doing
our
good.
fairgrounds? They're working good?
I will tell them about that. It actually worked out pretty well, especially with the fairgrounds, because we had the last event out there, and the fair, and I got several calls about thank you, because it was so much better.
Good.
And
Good.
in the next week or two, we're going to go out there and improve the outside wireless for guest access for like the home. I won't be able to get it done in time for the gun show, but for the home and garden show, because they're talking about expanding some stuff to the outside.
Nice.
So we're going to try to give them better. Just makes
better
us
service.
look better as a county if we're providing better services. That was half the reason we put that much bandwidth out there.
That's right.
So
Good. Glad to hear
we'll have that done, yeah. We got one door left at Annex 3. The clerk's doors are all done with the readers. So they're on a schedule now, and those doors will all open with badge access.
There you go.
Treasurer's
like that,
door
Ken?
will,
Can we get in?
That's why we put it up.
That's why we did it. To keep
Right.
you out, yeah.
Yes, your badge is going
the treasurer's door will not be done this week because I had to order another reader. My spare readers went into, which is what I'm gonna talk about next, into the two doors that we had to replace here when the lightning hit, because it blew out 2 readers. And so I had one spare, and I had to use 2 of them up, so I have to order another reader.
Did you get my information from Webasco about your
So I
faulty,
did, and I was gonna pass it along to Shane, and I had asked Shane to see if he could get that
Yeah.
information to Jerry and see if we can get it resolved.
Right. Document it and call them, and I just got my new unit and put my new unit in and shipped theirs back, so they will stand behind it, so.
What are you?
The chargers.
The charging station, I had, something was haywire in mine, it would work fine, it would charge the automobile, but then it'd be sitting there when it's not in use, and it would go to an amber light, which means it's not in service. So then we called them and asked them what to do. They said, well, go in and turn your breaker off for 15 or 20 minutes and turn it back. And sure enough, it'd come back on. But it would periodically go into this amber mode, which meant it can't charge, it wouldn't charge a car. But,
This
so they
one's
made-
actually even worse than that. This
Is it?
one, when you plug in the car, it goes click, 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 click,
Oh,
click.
okay, so you're worse off than I was. So at least mine, when I shut the breaker off and then refired it back up, it would go ahead and work. But it kept going into this amber stage, so there was a fault in that charging station. So they were good. They shipped out a new one, and we sent ours back. So
And the only other thing I wanted to mention is just putting a bug in your ear to think about this for next year. We have now been hit, whether it was a direct strike or an indirect strike, we've now been affected twice that I know of in the last 2 years by lightning.
Here.
Just this building.
Just a
This
couple
last
weeks
one-
ago.
This
It's
last
those
one,
spruce trees out front.
just my stuff alone, over $16,000 worth of equipment that I had to replace, just in my stuff.
So what's your recommendation to resolve that?
So there's 2 things that need to happen, in my opinion. One is to prevent, there's nothing you can do with the indirect strikes. If it's gonna hit a block away, it's gonna hit a block away, right?
Yeah.
But we've had lightning hit here on this building a couple of times. And I do think we need to discuss putting a lightning rod of some sort up on this building and have it grounded deep in. So at least if the lightning's going to hit, it'll hit that before it'll hit. Because now we got all this wireless stuff up there, so we got another high point.
So can you have that to us by the end of the month?
Well,
My
Mike
recommendation
is
and-
already,
I can.
Mike's
Okay.
already getting the quote
But
on it.
Mike is working on that, and I'm gonna defer to him when you talk to him, because but it has to do with the generator. We have to seriously think about, we talked about this before several times, where Mike and I and Jerry are working on getting together a quote on what it's gonna take, but this building needs a generator because of the critical infrastructure that's going on. My server room that's down in my room, if that goes off, you might as well just send everybody home, because nobody's working, period. Not at the sheriff's office, not at the health department, not anywhere. So it's crucial that we get this stuff fixed, because why we have a chance to do it.
Well, then we need to check into that. And Mike, can you put an American flag on a lightning rod?
Yeah.
I don't know why you couldn't.
I did talk to Jerry about this.
Come on up, come on up.
I guess we'll combine you guys.
Yeah.
While we're waiting for him to get up here from way back in the back row, what's the status of our sign? Nobody
You know, to be honest with you, I have not heard from anybody, and all I can do is say, everybody's wonderful new excuse is COVID, COVID, COVID. So, I reach out to people and they're like, well, COVID. That's all they tell me anymore. I've gone to everybody in town that I know of, and I even put it out on that SmartGov trying to get a quote. I can't get any
Have you
response.
reached out to like Graham Studios in Farmington?
I don't even know who that is, so.
Yeah.
no.
Some of those sign
that
companies
sign we
in
agreed on out
Farmington, I
front.
mean,
Yeah,
not that
tell
I'm
us
trying to
what-
move things away from local businesses, but.
Well, if you can't get
they-
anybody
they
here.
I
do-
did send it to San Juan Sign, and they weren't not interested, but that's because you wanted some stone stuff done to it and some other things, so, if we decide to go away from the masonry side of it, we could probably get it done pretty quick.
Weren't you gonna talk with,
Randy Irvin.
Randy Irvin and maybe even,
I can give you some names and numbers.
yeah, do that.
We have the design drawn up, I have it.
Yeah, we've
Yeah,
got
we've
we
seen
got
it.
the whole
We-
deal
yeah.
ready to go. We
Yeah.
just can't get anybody to say they wanna do it.
I sent it to that other
Jeff
one.
Schrage, made
Yeah.
Jeff Schrage?
I think that's the one we talked about, and I did, and I got no
response.
Well, that's not true. I got an email back last year from them going, send me everything. I sent them everything, and then they replied back, said, we're not interested. So,
Well,
get with
maybe,
you.
maybe Jim's got some.
I'll get with you after the
Okay.
meeting and we'll
Good.
see where we can go.
I'd like to get
'Cause-
that done.
that would be
A
nice.
portion of it is, and I don't.
Part of
can't
it's
remember
because
if I've ever seen the design, but
I think part of it is because in the original bid, I think we had tree removal added in there,
Yeah.
and they definitely don't want to do that.
I'll get the.
Remove
design
the
from
two
Jim.
big trees in the front.
We better leave that one alone.
I am leaving that one
Because
alone.
Are we talking a sign like that?
No, I think I showed you the
James
design, but it's
Dietrich
been a
has the
while.
drawing.
Yeah, James
But
Dietrich has the
it's a
design
pretty
already.
good size,
But it fits right off the sidewalk coming in
with new landscaping and the new, it's got some masonry, and then it kind of lights up, and it has
probably
what
about as big
departments
as
are
that
in the
table.
building.
yeah.
Like a monument sign.
Mhm,
Yeah,
Exactly.
yeah,
like a
very
monument
close.
sign, right.
Had the American flag pole in it in the middle,
Yep.
We do the grass,
and redo the grass.
or get rid of it.
Well, you and I talked about that, about just doing some like rock out there or something
Well,
and
either
doing.
way, I mean, if we keep the grass, we're gonna have to cut it back. So, I mean, you get a 6-inch drop off for the sidewalk now. We need to cut it back and plant the grass where it's supposed to be, but that's another option.
That's another discussion.
All right, well, I think that
Generator.
you'll get ahead. you'll
Okay,
get
the
a-
lightning
okay.
rod, now, like I said, Jerry and I talked about it this morning and yesterday. If we put a lightning rod in the building, all it's gonna do is direct the lightning to our building. That's all
Oh.
it's gonna do.
So-
And he says, all our lightning strikes that we have had are on, power poles. And the lightning travels through those, and that's what's taken out our system. We got, right now we have 2 surge protectors on Annex 2 and this one here. The one with the green lights in the back, and they're rated at 300 volts. So they're not gonna take effect at the 300 volts. So anything below 300 volts are gonna travel to our system and take out his servers and take out our elevator like it did.
So then what do you suggest? Do we put the lightning rod on the bank?
Yeah.
Or
Or can we have these surge protectors? Can we get surge protectors that protect us against a lower
He gave
strike?
me the paperwork on it. This one here states, okay, a lightning rod protects the structure from lightning strike. If lightning hits the structure, it will preventively strike the rod and be conducted to the ground through a wire. So it's not gonna help the power, it's just gonna protect the building.
See, I
Catching on
respectfully
fire.
disagree with that statement.
See, now, the last lightning strike was two blocks away.
It was 2 blocks away,
That
and it
took
jumped
out the
power.
elevator.
Which is a surge, which is what you're talking about is the surge.
Right, it's a surge, because if it
So-
hits the building, it's gonna blow a big old hole in the building.
So what kind of surge protectors do we have here?
Well, so if you're, let's talk about, well, first off, just my server room, there are UPSs and surge protectors in there, but
They're rated at 300 volts.
They're rated like 300 volts, so and he is correct in that, is if what jumps through there is less than 300 volt, it's not gonna do diddly squat. All it's gonna do is kill the power to them. Now, yes, the surge stops the servers from getting zapped, which is what they're designed to do, but it doesn't stop them from going off. Because the amount of stuff that's in those, I mean, you're lucky if you get 3 or 4 minutes out of those battery backups before they just finally lose power.
So the generator really is more
the answer.
Is the answer.
The generator is the absolute answer, in my opinion, because it's gonna have a, you got, let's say, and especially the new ones, they got more efficient, right? You're talking about maybe, in my opinion, and I've seen them, 5 to 7 seconds by the time the transfer happens and the power gets full, okay? And if we use a natural gas one, it's gonna be way more efficient, for one, because you don't have to keep changing out all the diesel fuel and.
But you would probably, even with the generator, you would probably have to have a UPS system.
Sure.
So the UPS system is gonna keep the power up until the generator comes up to speed.
Yep.
Then the UPS system shuts down. So that way you don't lose any power at all, anywhere.
So what are you talking, like a 50 kW, 60
Depends how
kW?
much we put on it.
Jerry and I talked about that, and it does depend on what we put on it. If you wanted to power this whole building, you'd need somewhere in the neighborhood of, well over 100.
It's for emergency power.
But if
It's
we
only
did the
for-
critical infrastructure, the best guess Jerry said was between, somewhere around 40 or 50 would probably be suffice, because it would have to be the server room, some lights,
Right.
and that would pretty much be about it.
And your air conditioning unit.
Well, and the elevator, the things that need to
That are
stay
critical.
operational, our door system, because,
Talking a pretty good size generator.
Yeah, I would say you're probably looking at 50, 60 kW. So I would think, get with Jerry, size the generator to what we need for our critical infrastructure that we have within the building, and then let's see what we can do to move forward.
Okay.
And definitely run it off of natural gas.
I agree. That's what I said to Jerry last year. We already have natural gas to the building. It's not hooked up, but that's nothing.
No.
Do you have an idea of where to store it?
I actually do have an idea. So you know where his storage shed is at out here? So between his storage shed and my back door, there's that nice concrete pad. Jerry and I measured it, and it's almost flat, and it would almost fit perfect on there because the transfer switch would literally be right behind it.
On the wall.
Just makes it cheaper labor-wise to deal with because we don't have to reroute a whole bunch of stuff because it's right there.
So I think the direction, Mike, then is to get us those costs as far as what size of a generator after you guys get it sized, and then we'll move forward.
Yeah, I think we need.
UPS system probably, for this building, only 80 batteries, maybe more. No, only 80 batteries. You'd have to,
Yeah,
we could find that out, right?
Yeah, they'll be able to size it for you, and then we'll be able to know from there.
Yeah.
All right, let's, anything else?
No, that's all I have.
All right,
Thank you.
that was definitely enough, thank you.
That was plenty.
So Shane, would you want to come up and take the heat, or? Morning, Shane.
Good morning.
How are you?
Good. Put a recommendation in that I go to the top of the list before IT. I don't have a lot this month. We got 2 new sheriff units in. They got delivered to Kaziz. We got the front bumper on one. I guess the other bumpers are on back order. That was all between Steve and Kaziz, but they're sent down to get lights on them, so we should be seeing those in the next month or so hitting the streets here in Cortez. Or out on the county roads, I hope.
I was going to say, yeah, let's see them
I
out
hope on the
Montezuma
county roads. We've retired a lot of units this year, so we're gonna have 8 units there that we'll take, I guess, the farm auctions back out at the fair, or out at the auction. So we're gonna be taking 8 units out there in September to be auctioned, get them back into
Are
the
most
general
of
public.
those interceptors?
No, there's no interceptors. We've
No.
been putting the interceptors back into the fleet because they only had, most of those had 120 to 130,000 miles. So they're living out their lives at like the assessor and places like
I
that.
think it's just anything that where you hit your 150,000, right?
Yeah, we got 3 expeditions, one that lost the oil pump, and then the 2 that are just high mileage units. We have an F-150 that came from the maintenance department that we retired with the Dodge, things like that. And there'll be, depending on what comes in this month, there'll be a few more that go that way too. So we'll have 8 to 10 units over there when they do that auction. We got the Dodge pickup and the Escape ordered that I got okayed last time, so they should be in by the end of the year to replace a couple of high mileage units. And 1 more sheriff's unit should be in next month, and then it'll be
the 3 total.
That'll make the 3 total, and we'll be rounding out the end of the year by then and starting on something new.
Pretty slow getting stuff in. Are they?
Yeah, the
just they
COVID's got everything
way
messed up.
behind in their manufacturing capabilities.
They just shut everything down for months on end. Dodge wasn't making anything. Chevy didn't make anything. You know, they stopped to make ventilators or whatever they were doing. So we ordered a Chevy pickup back in February, and it's still not here.
Oh, my gosh.
We're probably not going to be ordering any more vehicles this year. I don't think there's any
we're done.
inventory.
Yeah.
There's no inventory out there.
I got the Dodge and Kaz's, what is the Dodge? True West and Kaz's both said that those 2 that I ordered last month would be able to get here by the end of the year.
Wow.
So
that's
we should be, they're rolling again now, but there's such a backlog on vehicles that who knows. I bet it'll be November or December before we see any of those vehicles. Being that we ordered that 1 Chevy 1-ton for the road department for the shop, and we still haven't seen it. It should be in sometime this month. And that was back in February, March that we ordered that. So
that's been 6.
they're way off. And then being the government bids we put in, and then it takes, we just get a spot in line, and it takes a while to build them anyway. So we usually don't see them for 2 to 3 months after we order them, but 6 months is kind of pushing it. So, but that's all I have.
All right, any other questions, commissioners?
I have none.
All right.
Thank you, Mr.
Thanks.
Hickman. We
Thanks, Shane.
appreciate
Thank
it.
you.
And
Next time, sit up front, and we'll get to you sooner.
you'll have to talk with Mr. McLean about that lineup. We'll go back to Mike, what, buildings and ground maintenance.
Okay. Senior center remodel, the plumbing's done. Got a few items I gotta address with Melissa. The contractor can't find the storage units that they want in the server room, so I'll have to go over and talk to them about that today. We need them out the freezer. We gotta put the condenser on the roof and plumb it, and that's done, so we'll be pretty much
Done, wrapped up.
pretty much
Good.
done there.
That'll be
Good.
fun to go and look at.
Shaq and I walked over there and looked at it last week. Nobody was there, but we kind of nosed around. Looks
Yeah, the
good.
floor came out good.
Yeah,
I mean,
everything looks,
third
other than
time,
the
but,
equipment
yeah.
having to go back in there now, which is the minor.
The lighting
minor
thing we already
details.
talked about.
We'll have to go look at it after it's
It's good.
The charging station for Annex One's been put on hold because of COVID. We can't get the unit. We're supposed to have it done by end of September.
Yeah.
So I emailed Chad, for him to set it
Extend it.
back again until we get the unit. Did you get that email? You got that email?
I did get that email, yeah. We're requesting another extension.
So I sent it to you.
Yeah.
So,
It's just like all the other
Everything
manufacturing.
Hmm.
Everything got shut down.
probably another month or so, maybe 2 months.
Wow. I got mine.
With this one,
You got your EV charging station when you ordered your car last year?
No. The replacement for the one that went bad on me.
Oh, well, this is the big
We're
one
talking
that's
about
going
the
in over at Annex
Big one
1.
for the stand-up for the.
This
Yeah,
is the
but
one that was gonna go at the fairgrounds, that's gonna go
Got you.
here.
Right.
Yeah.
But
yeah, it's got 2 charging stations
Yeah.
on it, it's got a board on it, you can read out all the stuff and make appointments to and stuff. But that has been put on hold.
Hey, Mike, can you turn your mic on?
What?
Can you turn your
that
mic on?
Push the button on the microphone.
How's that?
There you go.
I guess
Okay.
it's better.
The roof jail, they're gonna start staging the material this week and probably start next week on replacing the roof. They're gonna do the jail section first and then come back and do the office first. They got another big project got going on right now. We should be receiving a check from Travelers Insurance for
$146,047.71 for insurance being hail damage on the roof. So they're going to cover a big percentage of that roof.
Wow.
So,
Wow.
and plus, he said that some of the AC units that we replaced a couple years ago on their insurance, he said if we replace those, send him a picture, and they'll probably put those on their insurance too.
Wow, wow, boy,
on
that's a
insurance
good
claim.
lick.
So we'll save a lot of money on the roof that way.
Man, yeah.
Good.
That'd be a good thing.
Yeah.
Is there a possibility of maintenance getting another vehicle with the extra money?
We'll have to see.
You'll have to, we didn't hear that. What did you say again?
He wants an extra vehicle. What kind of vehicle are you needing?
Well, we still got the one vehicle with high mileage on it.
Talk to Shane.
Okay, I'll talk to
Yeah,
Shane.
talk to
Yeah,
I
Shane.
mean,
I think it's
Get in
got
the
to go with the
rotation.
criteria of the 150,000 before we replace them now.
he's like one on 48.
Yeah, well,
Yeah,
then,
just-
then that
just
thing
get
ought to
with-
be getting in line to get
Get
done.
with
Okay.
Mike, because I'm sure he'll start establishing his next year criteria for replacement.
Yeah, I got it on for 2021 for replacement, but I didn't know
There
whether
you
with
go.
this extra money we got left over from the jail might help.
There is no
I think-
extra money.
I
There's
think
no
it's
such
just-
thing as
I think
extra money.
it's going to a generator.
It's all committed, man. It is all
all
committed
committed.
somewhere,
Yeah,
yeah.
I think the generator just ate that.
Oh, yeah, it'll be a
Yeah.
pricey ordeal, do that, big time. And that's all I got. I'm good.
All right.
Any questions?
And we're all lined up in October to do the remodel at the fairgrounds.
At the fairgrounds. I did go over there and check to see if they replaced the fire hydrant. It doesn't look like they replaced it yet. They were supposed to replace it like 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, give
Man,
them a call.
stay on top of those
Get
guys.
on-
Yeah, I
stay
gotta- I
on
gotta
top of
call
that
them
rule of
again.
water, yeah. Stay on
It doesn't
top.
look like it's the same fire hydrant, whether
Yeah.
they put new guts in it, I don't know, but I'll have to call them.
It'll be removed.
It's
Okay.
important,
See it.
it's important because they just lifted the fire ban, so.
Well, yeah. But yeah, I'll check with Steve from Montezuma Water and find out what's going on with there.
Annex 3 is gonna start when on that roof? Do you know when?
I have no idea.
No
He didn't
idea.
give me
After
any
the
idea on
sheriff's
Annex
office.
3.
After the sheriff's done.
So probably.
Well, sounds like they're stuck on another job. They're only gonna do the jail half and then be
Yeah,
gone.
he's
for a
doing
little-
the college,
Oh, they
I
are?
guess. They're re-roofing the college.
Oh, so they got a big job over in Durango.
No, the college
No.
here.
PCC.
Out here at
They're-
Southwest
it looks like
Community.
they're about
Okay, I
finished
got
with
you.
Yeah, they did half, and then they decided to do the rest, so they're kind of doing both. And they're gonna hit our side first and then come back and do the rest of it. So,
I'll tell him that wasn't in the bid package that we had, that he was gonna split it up and do half now and half later.
oh, I don't want to even go through that with that. Hey, we're getting the roof done, and that's good.
All right.
All right, thank you, Mike. We
Uh-huh.
appreciate your
Thanks,
update. Last on the list, we will go with, well, not last, I guess, but GIS mapping with Doug Roth and Rachel Medea.
Good morning.
Good morning, guys. How are you?
Morning. How's GIS and the Mayor Pro Tem?
Good.
All right.
We don't have much today.
You don't?
We always have something.
Well, yeah.
Yes, you do.
I am happy to report we're kind of back down to normal operations. A lot of our special projects and big projects are starting to wrap up, so that feels pretty good because we always have plenty of projects lined up that are going to come afterwards. One thing, and you know, obviously we know that the census is wrapping up, but I do just want to mention that obviously the census is moving as of, I believe, today into the non-response follow-up stage, in which case the census workers are going to be going door to door for people who have not responded, and they're going to knock and they're going to try and attempt to take responses. That time period is now through what is now revised September 30th. It was going to go through October 30th. So they have a lot of work to do over the next 7 weeks here, 6 to 7 weeks. And we did notify local law enforcement agencies how to identify census workers. They have badges, they have bags, they have census collection devices, so there should be no question if it's a census worker or not. One other update is that we did have our imagery flight this spring. We were not very happy
with what they produced out of it. There were some very long shadows on the data. We are utilizing this data, we're analyzing it, but there are some really long shadows, and it was a little bit after leaf off. Pictometry, our contractor does know that. They're planning on reflying it.
Good.
We will see if fall is a little bit trickier because you can try and get leaf off conditions. You try and do it before the snow falls. And of course we have shorter days, which means that the zenith of trying to get that perfect time is a little bit tougher, but that's up to them, and we'll let you know later on this fall what will need to happen. Worst case scenario, we might need to ask for those funds to be carried over into next year to be to have the contract paid out next year. Of course, we did pay our 25% deposit on that, about $10,000 out of the $40,000 project funds, and we do have other partners in the project, but they're being cooperative in getting the product that we want, so we're continuing to work on that. One other thing we're working on also is closely with Dolores County, and in the early stages of talking with them of possibly having an MOU, memorandum of understanding, to have some of their data on our servers. I have not talked to Jim McLean about it, so this is just very early stages. We do have an MOU in place for the towns we have for a long time, and that we keep and host some of their data. The benefit of that, when we look at it, is that we're all one PSAP area, 911 PSAP area, and the data that we're talking about is parcels, addresses, roads, all that data that needs to be fed into the 911 system. So that's data that we do actually store a copy of that data on our server already, but this would allow them to access and update that data. It's a lot more seamless for us than having to remember to request an updated data set on a quarterly basis, have them email that to us, and then reintegrate it. So we'll talk to you more about that. If they want to pursue that, then we'll kind of bring a document about. And
is their data as good as ours? I mean, as far as, we've got some pretty good data.
We've got some good data, and I'll say they've done an excellent job as well. They have a small department up there. They've been working on it. I believe they really started their GIS department about 10 years ago, 9 or 10 years ago. And specifically, and I was up the West Fork last weekend, and you'll notice they've done an excellent job on installing countywide address markers on all their roads, putting up mile marker signs on a lot of the roads, signing a lot of the roads that didn't previously have signs. So they're installing some taking our lead and installing some red road signs on some of their subdivisions up there, even in remote areas, groundhog area, and so forth. And they're making their data all match that. So their data has come a tremendous way.
The only beef I have with that is the groundhog is a Cajon address. Have you seen that?
I have.
And we did have long discussion with them because, as we know, there's really not mail delivery up there. And when we initially created some of our zip code maps, we considered it Dolores, more like a Dolores area, or you just plain don't,
It goofs things up because people get sent to Cajon off of 491 and they're not anywhere
If you
close.
use like Google Maps to route.
Yeah.
Yeah, all of
Yeah.
those
And
places.
we'll have to talk to the post office about that because it's based on routes.
And we made the suggestion, I'd have to remember we made the suggestion that maybe they should just leave it as a Dolores because that's where the primary response area is going to come from. And then they had their internal discussion. They wanted it to match, say it's more than a zip code, it's a community. And they wanted it to match more of a community that already exists in Dolores County.
A community that's 50 miles away.
Yeah. the discussion they had, so I'm not gonna second guess their decision. But they did have that discussion in that area, and it's a tricky one. But yeah, all those things absolutely do matter.
Anything else?
Well, I'd say, and it's a huge benefit having Dolores County's data match ours, that it's seamless when you add them together. Because even with the fires, being able to send them both counties' data at once has really helped in the last few years.
Yeah, they reached out to us when they were developing their data sets, or their data sets very much match the structure and style of ours, so we're able to bring them together pretty easily. So that's really great. And then I guess one other thing I have, and I'll turn over to Rachel, is that Kim sent an email out, I think that was just yesterday, Kim, and this has come up before, in that we are going to have to start asking the special districts for more. They're required to provide maps to us. I believe it's on an annual basis. A lot of these special districts, whether they're voting or taxing, or sometimes both, they really don't have a department to do that. So then they lean on us a lot, which is okay in a sense, but they still have to take that responsibility in order to verify what we might say. Okay, here's what we have. You need to take it to your board, review it, and then bring it back to us as a. They need to review that as a board, and then we can make sure.
So we visited this issue with that special conservation district, right?
The High District Conservation
Yeah.
District, which caused us some issues, as we know. In that case in particular, there was some language in their district that was open to interpretation, which is why they have their own lawyers to interpret this and give their board advice how they want to do it, because it said everybody within the town boundaries as of a certain date was not in the district, which sort of made sense. Okay, well then we researched, well, that this is what the town boundaries were of this certain date. So then everybody else is within your district. Or is it the intent of nobody in the current, city limits is within their district? And we get into trouble when we overdo it, overdo their job for them.
Plus that map was 30 years
gosh,
old,
yeah,
wasn't it?
30.
The last map that we had received from them was 30 years old.
I mean, and we want to be able to help the districts, but it is their responsibility on confirming the boundaries.
So my suggestion, and we're going to have some more of this, we'll be reviewing them in about a year after we get our census data. Everybody's required to look at rebalance whether it's the school director districts, the commissioner districts. We're going to be looking at all this, and maybe that's a good project to get everybody on board to submitting everything to us and making a good project of it. There's also a little bit of a technology divide, because we have multiple systems going on. We have the state's voter record system, which obviously is not directly tied to our GIS system. Kim's personnel has to maintain that. And it's maybe the next phase. Hopefully the state can step up. I think I've talked about this before, and make it so that, and this is a similar situation with what's called Next Gen 911, in that we have PSAP areas. We have maps, boundaries, we have addresses, and yet there's a divide in the systems where Lori Johnson still has to have basically a records database of, this street with this address on this side, these are the responders. But we also have in the GIS sense that what Next Gen 911 really does, it says, I'm located here, whether it's a cell phone call or what, I'm located here, and this is the districts that I'm in. This is the response area that I'm in. So there's still a little bit of a technology divide that we need to breach, because we're still having to pass that information between districts.
I think even within my department, we have 3 different records and none of them talk to each other. So anytime an address is updated, the customer is required to do it not only in motor vehicle, but for their voter registration. So it makes, they're frustrated with us because they think they should do one place shopping and get it all taken care of, but our systems don't talk to each other. And even when they make an update to the county, we have to go in and adjust both motor vehicle and that's quite time consuming.
Yeah, and that's personnel hours that doesn't need to be spent. And if state IT and state GIS departments are listening, I think that's kind of something they need to be looking at, because that's not unique to us, and there are ways to resolve that. So we'll be working.
Any additional questions, Commissioners, for Doug and Rachel? Rachel, do you have something to add?
I guess just the only other project that's going on is I've been updating the, as the town of Dolores decides their marijuana laws, just updating the buffers for that. So they had a town board meeting last night, and so I'm going to update the map to reflect some of the ideas they had for the distance between each. Because I don't know if you've read the article, but people are starting to kick out tenants and knock down houses so that they can get in first on these pot shops. So they need to make some decisions fast. So on how they want to set that up. And then just one other comment in passing through the planning department applications is a lot of the lots in Cedar Mesa Ranches are being sold to out-of-town folks. I think with the pandemic, people in big cities and densely populated states are trying to move to rural areas. So I think we've seen an uptick in that here. So.
Good observation.
Yeah. Well, thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anything else?
I have nothing.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, at this time, we're going to convene as a special health board meeting. So would a commissioner like to make a motion?
I would move that this commission move into a Board of Health stature and have our director of our Montezuma County Health Department and the people with her come forward, and we'll open this Board of Health meeting.
Second.
Motion is second to approve the convening as the Montezuma County Board of Health. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Good morning. Thank you.
Good morning.
Good morning.
First thing I want to do is introduce you all to our new environmental health specialist. This is Cody Sprague.
Pleased to meet you.
So
meet you, Cody.
we've got Kim Purcell is the county clerk, Keenan Ertel, Larry Don Sukla, Jim Candelaria, John Baxter is the county attorney, and Shaq Powers is our county administrator. And this is Cody, and we're very glad to have him. He's been working with Melissa pretty much all month so far. Melissa's last day is the end of the month. September 1st, excuse me, September 1st. Let's get one more day out of her. And Cody's been doing awesome. He's been learning a lot from her. So we wanted to have this Board of Health meeting because we just have a couple issues that we wanted to bring to your attention, and Cody's going to share those with you on kind of a generic level, and then we may need to have you convene again next week. So, okay? So we're just going to fill you in.
All right, the floor is yours, Cody.
Thank you very much. So first, we have a house condemnation, some potential for house condemnation in Mancos. Currently, we're working with the Mancos Marshals. I believe Officer Ray's in charge. He is not back until Thursday, so we are waiting for some additional information. We've also heard from neighbors and community members in Mancos that are complaining about this house. I believe it was being used to cook meth, and so the smell is quite bad, and it sounds like the house is quite filthy. I have not had a chance to inspect it myself, but that is something that will, in the future we'll have a little bit more information, and then that is something that we'd like the support of the Board of Health before we move forward trying to condemn that property if indeed that's what folks decide.
One question, does that property, since this was in a drug bust or drug takedown of some sort, does that piece of property, is it like other personal property that comes into the possession of the sheriff or Montezuma County? Is that now become part of our possession?
Seized property?
Yeah.
But what
seized
if it's
prop-
not the people that cooked it? What if it's owned by somebody else?
So,
I mean,
yeah, so good
Do you have a
question.
I'll let him throw it.
Okay.
So it is technically private property. It is not owned by the folks that were cooking meth. It is owned by a gentleman that lives in Salt Lake City, Utah. And it sounds like some of the neighbors, they have tried to contact that individual and say, hey, this is what's been going on your property. And he's seen the pictures and like denied that there's any issue there. It just sounds like it's something that he's not interested in doing. So there is, I'm not, and Melissa might know this better than me, I'm not sure who is I think the property is still technically considered private property, but according to statute, it does meet certain requirements in order for a property to be condemned. When now it would be up to the homeowner basically to get that home, back in, working condition. That way it doesn't pose, a hazard to people.
Habitable.
Yeah, habitable.
Certain things habitable.
And that's within the township of Memphis?
So that would be another concern. So that would be another concern, and we're hoping that John would be able to consult with us on that. If it is in the city limits of Mancos, since it is within a municipality, is that something that they would oversee? Or would we, as Montezuma County Board of Health, step into that role? So that's something we're just in the process of conversations.
Have we directly communicated with that homeowner, or you're hearing from neighbors that they have?
We have not. We've only heard from homeowners so far. It sounds like he's been pretty difficult to contact. They've only been able to message him through Facebook.
Yeah.
So we're trying to get, a phone number for him, maybe a mailing address. And then our JS has been down recently, but I'm hoping that we can find the original owner and the mailing address for that property through that software.
All right, well, it sounds like there's more work to be done, and then
Correct.
you'll get back with us on what recommendations that we should take, correct?
Absolutely. Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, we just wanted to give you all a heads
'Cause
up.
It could actually be within the jurisdiction of Memphis itself. then.
Right,
Yeah, it
that's what
sounds-
we're,
Yeah, okay.
yeah.
Instead of the unincorporated part of the county.
Correct.
All right, what's your next issue, Cody?
Next issue is in regards to a septic system. So this is an individual, a homeowner that we've been working with since April, or that Melissa has been working with since April. I have not been working with her that long. Basically, her system is failing, and this, there's waste on the ground. And this it obviously constitutes an issue to public health. We've also been hearing from neighbors as well about the smell, and that's not a healthy scenario. And so basically, right now, and I don't know if we have sent out this letter to. Okay, so this is a letter that we've sent to the homeowner. It basically includes and is this something we can?
Well, we're not gonna really share everything because again, we're waiting
Oh,
for a
okay, yeah.
response back from her. But, if we come to see you again next week, we have a whole timeline of how we've tried to cooperate with her. The property owner has made correspondence back with us, but just nothing is being done. It's like, just a lot of
So-
back and forth. There hasn't even been, an application for the permit or anything, so,
So the SSO keeps going on, the sanitary sewer overflow
yes.
continues.
So
So-
the last letter that I wrote her was a temporary correction would be a porta-john being delivered to the property. And then all the other waste, like gray water for showers, laundry, could be done at a relative's house or something. Or they could continue to have the tank pumped so that, again, it doesn't go onto out into the field. So, and I'm waiting to hear back from that one.
Is it on public water?
It is on public water.
Why do you
Well, because if,
shut the water?
yeah, if you shut the water off, and I'm not
No, but
I mean,
that's how
those are-
you stop.
Those are issues that we
Sure.
talked about, you know, being on a sanitation board, that one works with the other, so they're married. So if you don't have one, it actually forces the people to do their laundry, to do their
Yep.
showering, to do their so on and so forth at a different location other than the location that they're at. Unless they do have those options to get a porta potty and/or
Have their tank.
have their tanks pumped, which is extremely expensive because it doesn't take long to fill a 1,000-gallon tank. You could do that in about 5 or 6 days.
So basically, the deadline was that we need to hear from her by this Friday, the 14th. And then if not, then we're coming back on the 18th.
Okay, so this issue again will be addressed next week.
And if we are going to address it next week, can you all share whatever documents you have in that file with me before, that, like at least the night before, just so I can glance at them?
Yeah. So if we don't hear back from her on Friday, we will come here on Tuesday, and I'm making sure that Dr. Aiken will be here as part of the conversation as our medical director for the Board of Health. So just so he's
Okay.
included in on the
So
process.
has the SSO been going on since April?
Wow. That's a long time.
I'm not sure how you could live with that,
Yeah.
just being there.
Wow.
Some people live. Okay. Anyway, what other
You have
good
any other
news do
good
you have
news?
for us?
I'm sorry, what? What other good news?
Oh.
What other good news do you have for us?
That's all the good news that I have been instructed to share.
They're breaking you in right, aren't they?
Yeah, they are. But I'm, yeah,
Is there
seriously.
anything you need to add, Bob, you'd like to add?
No, I think we just basically, both of these issues require Board of Health, and I wanted to give you a heads up that this was coming, and this particular issue may seriously
those-
come to a head
Both
next
these
week.
need to get the
So,
result, need to
Yeah.
get resolved, and the more rapidly, the better.
Yeah.
For both of them.
Yeah.
Is this just a real old system or something, or? No
No,
idea.
it's actually a failing engineered system.
Wow.
But it's, I think it was,
Who was the engineer? Or you probably can't say
I
that.
can't say that.
Yeah.
Yeah, never mind.
It was put in 2005,
I struck.
And 15 years old.
so
huh?
it's still 15 years old. I mean, that's.
But that's not ancient by any stretch.
No.
No, the good thing is, you know, we have large enough acreage in the county, so it's not encroaching on somebody else's property, but, you know, we've definitely had a
still
lot of wind
exists.
this year, and the neighbors, one in particular is very tired of the smells. And, you know, I just tried to explain, and I'm surprised you guys haven't had the phone call, because I did suggest a conversation with you guys.
Thanks.
Well, you know,
We've had a lot of phone calls over
Yeah.
odors.
Yeah.
This is what I've tried to relay to Cody. We have to do our due diligence working with the public. We have to try, I mean, we live here too, so we have to try and work with the public. But this is, you know, this is overkill. And anyway, so the one neighbor in particular, you know, he's pretty fed up. And I just have to tell him it's a process. It is. I mean, it's not like I can go out there and cut their pipe, or I can't, you know, go shut their water off. We have to work with them as much as we can, and there's been issues, and so we're now this is the last order that we have to do. I mean, that's just the way it is. And most of the time, it never comes to this where we have to come see you, because people do realize I've got to do what I need to do. So anyway, it's just unfortunate, but that's our only option now.
Is anything else, commissioners?
No.
I would say, Melissa, that the commissioners, that we are going to miss you. You did a fantastic job, that the community respects you. And a lot of community members have told us about how fair of a person that you was. And so we're really going to miss you. And Cody, you got some big shoes to fill.
Yeah, she's been awfully good at her job.
And you're not starting on a very good note with all this.
Yeah, and you brought us a couple items that aren't really very appetizing.
Nice to meet you.
She saved them for you, Cody. She saved them for you.
Thank you, and Thank you, Melissa.
Thank you. Nice to meet you, Cody.
Appreciate
Look forward to seeing more of you.
Bye, guys.
Okay, commissioners, would one of you want to make a motion to take us out of?
Board of Health? I move we adjourn our Board of Health meeting.
Second.
Motion is second to move the Montezuma County Board of Health meeting. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Now we're back to the Board of Commissioners, and we have John Baxter, all the way from Durango, Colorado.
All the way.
Come on down.
The first thing we probably ought to take care of is just we had the audit presentation last week, and we have to actually accept the audit. And so I don't know if you all wanted to, I think there was some suggestion of reviewing it more, but if you all have reviewed it enough, we need to make a motion to accept the audit.
Yeah.
So I would move that we accept the audit presented by Majors and Haley, which was
2 weeks ago.
August 4th,
For
2020.
It was 2 weeks ago. I was here last week.
Okay. July, whenever they presented it.
Is that good enough?
28th? Okay, yes.
Second.
Motion is second to approve the audit for Montezuma County for the 2020 season presented to us on
July.
July 28th. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
If you all recall, I don't remember when we first heard of this, but in the town of Mancos is the old Western Excelsior. What's it called now?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Aspen
Wallwood, and they wanted to move into the county, not physically move, but basically de-annex and disconnect from the town of Mancos and come into the county. So I think that the town of Mancos is going to pass an ordinance, which is how it works, and there's not much more to it other than that. We already, if there was any more discussion that you all wanted to have about it, you can ask for a meeting and discuss anything with the town board or town council if you want to. Otherwise, their ordinance is going to suffice, and we accept it, and it's a done deal.
Well, the majority of it, except for, is in the
Oh,
county
there- it's
anyway.
just,
10 feet,
it's a
right?
little
So,
strip.
little
Yeah, it's a little
bitty
strip that runs off that street, and it was crazy that it was that way to begin with, but yeah. No, it makes all the sense in the
It's
world for
really
the
cool.
town to get unhitched from Aspen Wallwood and Aspen Wallwood to get unhitched from the town. So, yeah, it makes perfect sense, so.
One thing that we took Mr. McLean, our IT director's time with yesterday was deposition on our employment law case. So we're still busy in that case. What else has been going on that you all might be concerned with? I know I brought up to you all informally and then shot you an email about the child support case out in Montrose. Did anybody reach out to them, or I don't know if anybody had the
Got your
opportunity
email, and
to?
I'm sorry, John, I did not.
You probably all three don't have to, but if anybody
No,
wants to.
I didn't.
Okay.
I did get it, but I was going to ask if you guys don't want to, I'll go ahead and take care of it. I can reach out to
Whoever
anyone.
knows one of those commissioners,
Yeah.
reach out
We
to
know
them.
them all.
Yeah.
We
Go ahead, Jim. Why don't you
Okay.
go ahead?
Okay.
Contact Roger or Sue or.
Roger, Sue? Okay.
Yeah.
I think that's it. You know, one thing I noticed about the minutes, Kim, is that we still say that these meetings take place at the courthouse in our minutes, and I know it does say courthouse in front of this building, and assuming we're going to keep it that way, I guess that's fine, but we might want to say the old courthouse,
Old
not
courthouse,
not
that
to, or just call it the county administration building. I don't know, because
Yeah, you're right, because
Right.
it does have courthouse on the building outside, but it's not the courthouse anymore.
we're not actually the
Yeah, we're not the
courthouse
courthouse.
anymore. So maybe we change that little caption in our minutes.
I hadn't even thought of that, but
I
you're
hadn't
right.
either. Maybe we need to take the sign down. This
Well, you
is
gotta
court.
chisel it off the building,
Oh.
it's on the building.
Yeah, I mean, that's definitely up to you guys. I kind of like the old historic courthouse
Yeah.
idea, but whatever.
Actually, we ought to call it the jail. The jail used to
Yep,
be here
yeah.
too.
Let's put that on there.
Oh, yeah.
Courthouse and jail, we can add that.
Speaking from experience, Commissioner Tell.
I'm actually also taking a little bit of Ms. Purcell's time this afternoon on our Weber Canyon case, just on some old filings. Taking more county employee time for lawsuits, unfortunately. That's it.
Okay. Natural Resources Planning and Public Lands Report with Mr. James Dietrich. Good morning, James.
We'll have a letter here to sign today.
Oh, okay.
Did you bring me a drawing? Did you bring me a drawing of a sign?
Of a sign? No, I haven't.
Okay.
I can email it for you.
Okay.
What did you guys make the last one?
Good morning, gentlemen.
Good morning.
Okay, very good. Okay, so the first thing I've got here is, and I believe everybody's had this, I sent it, I believe it went out last week. So this is a request from the BLM for comments on the Kinder Morgan Hovenweep Compressor Station expansion project. And so this is a project that is being proposed by Kinder Morgan to help increase the productivity of the existing gas field out there. So the first bullet that we've got is that we're underscoring the importance of oil and gas production to Montezuma County. It's currently making up about 57% of our overall tax revenue. The second bullet regards the exercise of valid existing rights, which is outlined in the Monument Proclamation. The third bullet acknowledges the importance of mitigating projects once we get them going. And then the fourth bullet is that it really addresses the construction period. It's proposed to be between September 1st and February 1st. And generally, that's an off season for the monument, with the exception of hunting season. And the monument, and actually this compressor station is kind of in that area of the resident herd that we heard about. And so we're just basically saying, hey, try to mitigate any of the impacts to hunting if you can. And then the fifth one is about the timeliness of implementing these type of projects. And the sixth bullet is that we're requesting a review of consistency with the land use code as well as the Montezuma County land use plan. So this is a coordination bullet. And then the fourth one is that the seventh one is we recommend that the project move forward. We will also have this come through an EA process. This is currently just the scoping process, so it's initially just general comments. We'll see this again at least 2 more times. So. So I'm just asking commissioners if you agree with all these bullets, that we approve that and send this on to the BLM.
So I would move that we accept the letter being sent to the BLM Tres Rios field office in regards to the Kinder Morgan Hovenweep compressor station expansion project.
Second.
Motion is second to approve a letter in support of the Kinder Morgan Hovenweep Compressor Station Expansion Project 3160. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you, gentlemen. Also, I did drive out to the M&M truck stop last week to investigate whether or not they've done any drilling out there for the monitoring wells. I saw no evidence of that yet, so I'll get a hold of the state. We'll find out where they're at with that. Marking is still on the ground as far as the line locates, so that's good. Rain didn't wash that away. But anyway, we are, still in a process of contacting those folks and making sure something is moving forward out there on that. I've also been in contact with FEMA, with regards to the Dolores River Valley and some of the rumors that have been circulating about that. FEMA's contacted me. Somebody got a hold of FEMA, and basically they're taking a look at the way we're doing our floodplain development permits. I think we're okay with all that. The only thing that they have to add is that we may need to include a no-rise certification with our floodplain development permits.
A what? Can you
A no-rise certification.
No rise.
Yeah, and so what that essentially means is that an engineer will have to take a look at the proposed development, make a determination that the footprint of that development is not going to cause any rise in the elevation of floodwaters due to that development. So it will be another step that looks like we're probably going to have to go through. I'm still trying to figure out all the, regulations on that, but it sure looks like that is something we should be asking people to do. So if that happens to be the case, FEMA says, yeah, you got to do that, we'll add that to our permit, and we'll just be another thing you have to check off.
Figure it out.
Now, individual developments, probably unlikely that's going to happen. If you put in a subdivision, for example, down there with associated roadways and things like that, it's possible that you could have an associated rise in that flood water. Obviously, you put anything in there and that displaces water, the water's got to go someplace. So, again, if we had a subdivision with 30 homes going in there, that might be pretty impactful. In individual unit, less so. However, it just depends on how people put driveways and things like that in. So it is possible if you put a driveway in that acts like a dam, that could push water places where you don't want it. So that is something we'll probably have to address, and it will be something new. But if that was something we were supposed to be doing all along, well, we'll correct that and make sure it's being addressed. We're still not out there to overregulate this. We're still just trying to do the absolute minimum we need to do to stay in compliance and ensure that we've got the backing of FEMA behind us. So anyway, that concludes my report for the day.
All right, thank you, James, for the report. Very, very well stated.
Thank you.
Oh, here we go. Shaq Powers, County Administrator.
Back to this.
All right, first thing I have for the commissioners is a transfer order to move $17,994.12 from the Road Impact Fund to the Road and Bridge Fund for the mag chloride project completed on roads X and 23. Here is a list of who paid into the road impact fees, how much, and there's the roads that it went to.
Show that list again, Shaq.
They've already completed this, right, Shaq?
Correct. This is work that's already done. That's where the money came from, and Road X and 23 is where it got spent.
I would move the approval of order number 5-2020, the transfer of $17,994.12 from the Road Impact Fund to the Road and Bridge Fund.
Second.
Motion second to approve order number 5-2020, transfer of $17,994.12 from the Road Impact Fund to the Road and Bridge Fund. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Next item of business, Mr. Powers.
All right, the next thing I have for you is the June payables report, and I emailed that to you so you've all had the chance to look it over. Good night, you guys spend a lot of money.
Yeah,
I
think you make that possible. Yeah, let's be careful how we say you. I'm not sure who you included in that, but
there was something I forgot to ask the health department. Did you gentlemen read in the Durango Herald that Archuleta County was
pulling out of the San Juan Basin Health are going to throw a real nut in that deal.
And so, but what's interesting about that is, and I'm just getting this secondhand, but there was $6 million was their budget a year, and Archuleta put in 165.
Right.
So how could that bankrupt them?
I was going to say, how can that throw you that far off? I can't.
But so then why did they make that statement?
I'm not sure. It must mean that they're going to have to reorganize their health unit in some fashion or another. And
the only thing that I can tell you is that we should probably do our own research instead of reading
the Herald.
Because I would not.
Might be a real good idea, Jim.
Yeah, that's all I'm going to say.
Okay. All right, Shaq. Sorry for the intermission.
That's okay. I just realized that for some reason the last
he doesn't
page
have a
of
total.
This. Yeah, the last page of this is.
168,000 is good.
No. The last page of this got cut off unless it was.
I think Kim has the real number.
Yeah, if you could read the real number for us.
Whoa.
Well, look at the line. You know darn good and well you approved social services while I was gone.
Wow, I know, and that just scares me. That department scares me.
There we go.
There it
That's the
is.
one I was looking
Yeah,
for.
I was
Social
gonna say
services.
3 million, yeah.
I'm
it's
glad
almost
you have
4.
to sign that, not me.
Boy, Shaq, he sure does put us in a predicament.
Oh, brother.
Here.
Scary.
Well, we have to make a motion to,
I think we already did.
oh, we already
Did we?
did?
No.
Oh, and you're not going to?
I haven't made the motion. I know that.
Well, we have to pay these bills, so I guess I would move
I think we
that
send them back to
we,
the state.
I would like to mention, Keenan, while I was gone, you guys already approved the social services portion of this.
I know, and we had some, not without discussion, my friend, let me tell you.
and
These-
I think
these,
it's just going to continually rise.
Well, they
with
just
what's on
keep
the-
giving them, they keep telling them to max out those EBT cards and
Yeah.
give them the maximum amount every
And
month, and
they
they're.
just extended all the unemployment stuff
Yeah.
yesterday again.
Did they
so
do that to what, to the tune?
400 extra a week?
I'll tell you what, I can't wait to see this government try and figure out where they're gonna come up with all, the state and the feds. They're spending money, they're writing checks they can't cash, man.
Well, I'll tell you what's going to happen,
destroying our
Keenan. In
grandkids.
January, you're going to have to look for a job.
Yeah,
So-
yeah, you're probably right.
Shaq, are you talking to us?
I'm
Yeah.
talking to
I would
Keenan.
move,
Talking to me.
I would move that we accept the payables through June 30th, 2020 in the amount of
3 million.
$3,988,323.45.
In my 7.7 years on this commission, I have never approved an amount anywhere near that size. I'll second it, but that's damn near $4 million bucks in 1 month.
There's been a motion and a second to approve this grandness of the payables for Montezuma County from the period of June 1st, 2020 through June 30th in the amount of $3,988,323.45. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 No, you're right, Commissioner
Aye,
Artel.
aye, aye.
It's
Never.
not even
High-
close.
Not even
It's
close
as
to
high
that.
as it's ever
Yeah.
been, and it could,
And could, man,
It
I'll
could
tell you
rise.
what. That social services department's they're gonna be go over $2 million bucks a month here before long.
I mean, it was almost there.
I
pretty
mean,
much
they're all-
there right now.
Well, you know, what's sad is what are we doing to our grandchildren? What are they, what is Congress and, what are they doing?
They're creating so much debt that we're gonna be insolvent here soon. I
It's
mean,
just sickening
We're
to
just
know
creating
that they
debt,
would.
I mean, the debt's so absolutely out of hand, unmanageable.
And it's so easy to fix. Open up.
Mm-hmm.
There's a,
There's a way to do that.
South Dakota got a handle on it.
What else we got,
Commissioner.
Shaq?
I'm going to move to the commissioner reports.
wow, that was,
See, I caught him before he went off.
Should I say anything?
Yeah, you
Do
better.
you have a letter for Mr. Hickenlooper? Did you want to present that?
That'll be in Commissioner Sukla's
Oh,
report.
right, sorry.
Your letter to former Governor Hickenlooper regarding the debates.
That letter that he didn't come over from Club 20 that they're
Oh,
on.
That you
oh,
asked
oh,
him
oh,
to have
we're
ready.
doing the
That'll be
debates.
in your
Yeah.
report.
I don't have a report. I didn't do anything.
I'll make mine as quick as I can. Then I attended Wednesday afternoon by the request of the school district or the school principal out at Lewis Areola with CDOT. They had an incident. Actually, it was Valentine's Day, February 14th, and the car going northbound came and it rolled into the school property and came very close to, well, it actually did hit the concrete structure there for the playground. So they were trying to work with CDOT on a
Guardrail.
fix to try and slow that. Obviously, you know, to move the playground would be one option, to put a guardrail is another option, and it was just a matter of funding and what would be the quickest. They did have some cost from a local company here that does guard railing, so they were gonna go to the school board and see which way they were gonna do. CDOT did step up and say that they would split half of the cost of the guardrail with them, which is actually a pretty good deal because
Yeah.
it's really not.
It's not a place where you need a guardrail. I
No,
mean,
it's not a place at all, and their studies show that, but they were,
That's good of
they
them.
were good good to do that. I've been doing a lot of well, let's see. Then I went to the Dolores board meeting last night, and DOLA did fund their solar project fully for their building. So I was talking to Shaq and John earlier to see, who we could get on board, or who could help us with this next process, because I think it comes up in the end of September. DOLA only has two per
times a
year,
year.
right? To see what we could do with Shaw and the next largest
Actually.
meter that would be, so we can move forward with solar there. I don't know if we'll make it or not, but it's worth a shot.
Yeah.
So that was good for Dolores. Their sales tax revenue, which is great, and I didn't write this down, so I don't know if it was the end of last month or the previous month. They were at $59,114, $350,000 over their projection, or they hit their projection, and they're over by $5,260 of their projection for sales tax, which is pretty good.
That's
That means
good.
that people
You know,
are
the
still
kid-
out there spending money. I'm curious to see what the city of Cortez has to say about theirs, but I think theirs was also going up. They discussed a few things on the land use code last night from Dolores, and obviously we'll be getting a letter from Dolores on some of the issues that were presented. And then I'll go right into that, and just like I talked about earlier, I think really when we had sent this to the planning and zoning, and I'll talk specifically to the Dolores River Valley right now, really, if we just look at those three issues of criteria right now, the setback, the front and the back, and then the elimination of that, or at least reduction of that 230-foot zone, I think that would make it a lot more palatable to a lot of people, because, as I stated, without that access survey being done by CDOT,
Nothing's gonna go
I think
anywhere.
I think it's a moot point, and we have a state highway it's gonna go nowhere else but right there. It can't go anywhere else, and then the river, which squashes a lot of that. So, like I said, with the PUD process right now, it's actually, you can do that. You can go up to 1 acre lot anyway, so I don't think we need to change that part of the land use code. And that for that valley, those are the only three things that really need to be talked about. And then the other recommendations are pretty minor. So that's all I have. That was my report.
I would just like to bring up,
Actually, I do have one other thing. Sorry.
Wait,
And
you-
it goes
go ahead.
back to quite a few of the emails that I have read. That people want us to postpone and not have any meetings in public. And I'm gonna, just me, I'm not gonna include anybody else in this, but we still have to move this county forward. The new normal for us, and it's becoming the new normal for everybody, is that we do have to go to meetings. We're going to them weekly, whether it's Zoom, GoToMeeting, whatever vehicle we're using electronically, but that is the new normal, and that is something that we're gonna have to get used to. So we're not gonna stop moving forward. So I understand your emails and your passions about them, but please understand that we are gonna have to move this county forward, and if it's in a different vehicle, then that's what we're gonna have to drive.
Participated in just a call with CCI over some 26 proposals from various counties throughout the state of Colorado. No decision-making, just they'll be selected, narrowed down to 6 or so in the meantime. And I would like to talk about COVID a little bit as well. There's so many things that has happened. It just amazes me. It used to be a disease if you were scared of germs. Like, what was the name?
Being a germaphobe?
Yep. No, but then there's another.
OCD, obsessive compulsive disorder, for washing?
Yes, and now so many people are scared to death. They told us from the very beginning, we got to flatten the curve, take 2 weeks. That was on May March 15th, and then May 26th, they finally let us back out. 2 months or 3 months later, they told us that 20% of the people could die from the germ. It wasn't until a few years ago when hand sanitizer, actually they was recommending we don't use hand sanitizer because it actually killed the good germs. My sister-in-law, which contacted COVID, is now back at work as a triage nurse, and she said the number one thing that comes in is not patients with COVID. It's patients with mental health issues. We have scared the hell out of everybody and then what we've done is we've lost all credibility. We have spent $5 trillion, and every time that our top health officials, not Montezuma counties, but the top health officials tell us something, it ends up being untrue. It never does pan out. And here we are 6 months, and they keep talking about, oh, we got to do this a little longer, we got to do this a little longer to control it. Well, you're destroying this country. They are destroying this country with this idiot thinking. I can't, what they've done is they're like, well, we're all in this together, right? That's what they say. They have torn us apart. They have did just the opposite of bring us together. They have got us to where we fear our neighbor. We go to the grocery store and everybody's scared of each other. It's got to stop. If this doesn't stop, boy, I feel sorry for it's our children. They're the ones that are going to pay the price for this. They shouldn't have to. How conceited are we that we are spinning ourselves into oblivion on the backs of those kids? It just makes me disgusted, the people that make those decisions with not even thinking about the kids. I'm done.
Did you want to talk about the letter that you asked me to have ready?
This is a letter that was requested by the Club 20. Governor Hickenlooper does not want to, he does not want to go to Club 20 and debate on the Western Slope. They keep wanting to exclude us on the Western Slope since all the vote is on the Eastern Slope. And so this is a letter that was asked by the board to request that Governor Hickenlooper does come and debate for the senators. Do one of you commissioners want to make a motion to approve this letter?
Sure.
Or you?
Sure. Yeah, I would. I would like to move that the Board of Montezuma County Commissioners send a letter to Hickenlooper for U.S. Senate campaign headquarters requesting that he participate in the Club 20 candidate debates on September 19th in Grand Junction, Colorado.
Second.
There's a motion and a second to approve a letter request to Hickenlooper, Governor Hickenlooper, past governor, to participate in the debate at Club 2020 in Grand Junction. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And then one final thing, commissioners, is, and I know we've addressed this once, but Ms. Puglisi, Rose Puglisi, the commissioner from Grand Junction, reached out to me again and asked if we would support a resolution in support of the taking away the popular vote, the
electoral
yeah,
college.
in favor of reinstating that, and we brought this up.
Right, I drafted one, but
Yeah.
it was basically past the effective time, so we didn't do it. Do we know, are they doing something similar? Should I contact their attorney and see what they're talking about?
So that is what I haven't found out. We know it's on the ballot.
Good.
And it's to be voted on.
Right.
And so I'm thinking that this request would have something to do with supporting, voters, seeing that the county, maybe there would be a list of counties. I don't know, actually. But it would be good to find out exactly what the purpose is
I would say find out from their attorney.
first.
Right, because I remember their resolution was there, and then it got the required signatures to be placed.
Right.
on the ballot, so it was like,
That-
okay, well.
Right, that was the resolution that we
Yeah.
were doing, but it was already on the ballot, so.
Okay,
So
well,
just
then
reach
we
out to
can
them.
reach out to them. All right, any public comment?
And they all left us.
I move we adjourn.
Greg and Dex. Second.
Motion second to adjourn. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye.